that Tsundere goddess falls in love with me. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 851 Restraint Effect. Several shadows attacked Lu Chuan, making it difficult for Lu Chuan to tell which one was the real body. But for Lu Chuan, this was not a problem. Lu Chuan retreated several steps and almost retreated to the gate of Dongfang Mansion. After pulling away enough distance, Lu Chuan did not hesitate and quickly used the Sun God Fire again, covering the sword with flames. Then, another fierce sweep was sent out. A flaming sword energy swept out, and with a devastating force, it directly shattered all the scattered clones. Boom. Under the influence of the sword energy, Nanganteng's real body quickly jumped up and dodged the sword energy that swept over. Swish. Nanganteng quickly landed, gasping for breath. Lu Chuan's flaming sword energy was so fierce that he dared not be careless. Such a fierce power made it difficult for him to even attack. He looked up at Lu Chuan and said with gritted teeth, "If you didn't have this strange flame, how could you be my opponent? You can fight me back and forth with the help of all the external objects on your body. You are nothing but that. If you don't have these things on you, I can kill you as easily as taking something out of my bag," he shouted arrogantly. Lu Chuan said disdainfully, "No matter which of these treasures I have, you may not be able to keep them if they are on you. You don't have the ability to get the treasures, nor do you have the ability to keep the treasures. It is reasonable that you are not as good as me now. Should everyone take off all the external objects on their bodies before fighting with you and fight you with bare hands? It's ridiculous. You have been in seclusion for several years, but it makes you so naive. Now you can't hide the greed in your eyes, and your naive behavior is even more ridiculous." Nanganteng stood up again and walked towards Lu Chuan quickly. "In that case, you forced me to do this. I didn't mean to do it. I'm going to kill you now. You will definitely not survive. I've said before, you have something to rely on. I may not have it too. Now, I think it's time to let it out. Next, you just watch me. You will soon know how you will die." Lu Chuan stared at him and said calmly, "Then let me open my eyes. Let me see what you are capable of." Although the soul-breaking sword in Lu Chuan's hand can kill the evil spirit, this evil spirit is parasitic in Nanganteng's body. There are only two ways to kill the evil spirit and absorb the soul dust. One is to let him release it himself, and the other is to kill him and force the evil spirit out. Now, Nanganteng intends to release it on his own initiative, so Lu Chuan wants to see what the evil spirit in his body is and how much it can help him improve his strength. If it is transformed into soul dust, how much help can it provide to Lu Chuan? Swish. A stream of black liquid smoke drilled out of Nanganteng's body. Streams of smoke appeared and wrapped around his whole body. His limbs and torso gradually spread to his head, all covered by black smoke. The black smoke gathered on his body, making his whole body extremely black. Even his cheeks became black, without any facial features, leaving only a pair of scalloped eyes. Swish. Two arms suddenly stretched out from behind him. At this moment, Nanganteng turned into four arms. He looked at Lu Chuan and made a low humming sound. "Lu Chuan, today is the day you die. Now I'm invincible," he said arrogantly. How many people who walk the rivers and lakes dare to say the word invincible? Those who claim to be invincible are either lunatics or fools who don't know the height of the world. Then, Nanganteng's four arms all held a dagger. The four daggers were in a fighting posture, ready to attack Lu Chuan at any time. Swish. The four arms waved briefly, leaving after images. The swords flashed, and the air made a whirring sound. Obviously, at this time, his sword swinging speed and strength have been greatly improved. In fact, he has two more arms, which will make his offensive more fierce. Lu Chuan stared at his body. It was the first time he had seen an evil spirit with such an effect. It really opened his eyes. Not only him, but also the other people who were watching looked at Nanganteng in great surprise. In their eyes, this guy's strange form became like a ghost. This kid is practicing in the mountains. Could it be that he is burning some evil spirit? Ha 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 ha, you are dead. No one can stop my offensive. He laughed arrogantly. Lu Chuan raised the soul-breaking sword, and the sword body flashed brightly. The blue glow enveloped the sword body. On the sword body, the flowing strange runes turned into luminous fonts. Lu Chuan looked up at Nangang. When you were practicing in the mountains, you encountered an evil spirit in that cave, right? Lu Chuan asked loudly. Nangang was stunned for a moment, and then he shouted loudly, as if he was angry and embarrassed, "It's none of your business, you don't deserve to know." He shouted angrily. Lu Chuan smiled faintly. This guy's so-called stimulating potential to strengthen himself, in Lu Chuan's view, was just exposing his own weaknesses. This did not put Lu Chuan in danger, but made him more relaxed. At this time, the situation of the duel between the two sides was transmitted to the Nangang mansion. In the yard, Nangang Linga stood in the pavilion, pacing back and forth anxiously. She couldn't calm down to read today, and she couldn't sit still at all. Servants kept running back to report the situation. "Miss, the battle situation is not good. Young Master Nangang has been forced to reveal his trump card, and now the fight is very tense." Nangang Linga nodded slightly. "Is he covered in black, and has 2 extra arms?" "Yes, that's right, miss. What is going on? Is this some rare martial art?" Nangang Linga shook her head slightly. "No, anyway, I can rest assured. If he uses this trick, he should be able to win smoothly. However, this guy named Lu Chuan is quite capable to be able to force him to this point. I'm still confident in my brother's strength. Now, I don't need to worry anymore." The servant who reported the news felt strange, but when I came back, Lu Chuan seemed to be confident. Could it be that he still has a trump card? No matter what trump card he has, it's all over. My brother will end the enemy. You don't need to worry about it. At the gate of Dongfang Mansion, Dongfang Cheng looked at Lu Chuan nervously, including Dongfang Ming and other people in Dongfang Mansion. "Mr. Lu, this guy has become very strange. I'm afraid he will be very difficult to deal with," Dongfang Cheng warned. "Don't worry, I will deal with him." Chapter 850 To Captive. Nangang rushed towards Lu Chuan. At this moment, his figure was almost as fast as a shadow, and he quickly came to Lu Chuan. His forearms swung out long swords at the same time, and the chaotic sword lights and shadows attacked, forcing Lu Chuan to avoid. Lu Chuan stepped back a few steps to avoid the first wave of attacks. Then, Lu Chuan tightly grasped the hilt of the sword and swung it towards Nangang with his backhand. Swish! Exclamation mark. Nangang was extremely fast and quickly stepped back to avoid Lu Chuan's counterattack. He laughed loudly. "Your speed is far inferior to mine. Now you are just fish meat on my sticky board, waiting to die," he shouted arrogantly, not taking Lu Chuan seriously at all. This short fight gave him great confidence, and Lu Chuan's speed became much slower in his eyes. He could also easily avoid the opponent's attack. In his opinion, this was a duel that he was sure to win. But at this moment, the 2 arms behind him suddenly shrank for a while, and then grew back. His smile froze. He looked down in confusion, and his extra 2 arms were fine. He looked up at Lu Chuan. "Something's wrong. What did you do?" Lu Chuan hooked his finger at him and continued. "Come on, keep attacking. I'll deal with you," Lu Chuan said confidently, almost making Nangang lose confidence. "Okay, then I'll do as you wish. I'll kill you now." He rushed towards Lu Chuan again. But at this moment, Lu Chuan did not retreat, but rushed towards him. Both sides did not retreat, and a fierce collision was about to happen in the eyes of everyone. Lu Chuan swung his sword, and the moment the blade was about to touch Nangang, a strange flowing sound sounded. The layer of darkness covering Nangang body surface quickly faded, gradually dissipating from head to toe, and the 2 extra arms behind him were also shrinking rapidly. In an instant, Nangang was weak and powerless, and it seemed that he was about to collapse. His arms holding the sword were limp and the short sword in his hand fell to the ground. Then, he knelt on the ground with a plop, sweating all over, and looked like he was exhausted. He gasped for breath, raised his head, and looked at Lu Chuan in disbelief. He looked at his hands and shouted, "What did you do? What did you do to me?" The people around him were also curious. Lu Chuan swung the sword and even didn't touch Nangang body, but he was beaten back to his original form. This made Nangang look like a joke. He shouted angrily, and his anger was gradually replaced by despair in his heart. He knew that without this trump card, he would have only one outcome, that is, death. There was no second choice. Lu Chuan walked slowly towards him. You are attached to an evil spirit. You complement each other. It can help you practice and help you improve your strength, but at the same time, it will become your defect, and this sword is a weapon to restrain your own defects. Nanganteng stared at the sword in Lu Chuan's hand. His eyes were hazy for a while, and he was at a loss. What kind of immortal weapon is this? Even if I die, I will die with my eyes closed. Lu Chuan said casually, this is the soul-breaking sword, which is specially used to destroy people's souls and evil spirits. This sword is unique in Kunlun domain. There are countless people who want to get it, but they have to pass me first. Today, you are completely defeated. There is no point in continuing to struggle. Lu Chuan walked up to him and put the sword on his neck. Everyone around felt strange. These two people are still restrained. It's just a pity that when I saw Nanganteng use his trump card, I thought there would be a big battle to see, but I didn't expect that the result would end with Nanganteng's rapid defeat. What do you want to do to me? What do you want to do to the Nangang family? Just say it. He lowered his head and said in a deep voice, as if he had lost his fighting spirit and was about to let Lu Chuan manipulate him. I want your Nangang family to release the person. You just arrested someone from my side and took him away. If this matter gets out, how can I, Lu Chuan, still have faith in Kunlun domain? Lu Chuan turned to look at Dong Fangcheng and said, go and call people to arrest this guy and lock him up in a small dark room. Don't let him run away. Dong Fangcheng nodded quickly. I know. Leave this matter to me. You two, give me a hand and arrest this guy. Dong Fangcheng walked quickly towards Nanganteng and carried this guy in with two servants. Nanganteng, who was as hopeless as death, had no intention of struggling at all. Dong Fangming walked over quickly and said nervously, Mr. Lu, this guy's a big shot of the Nangang family. If we catch him, the Nangang family will definitely attack us in a hurry. You don't have to worry about this. Since we have to fight to the death with the Nangang family, we naturally can't let Nanganteng go back. Ask someone to tie a few more chains to prevent him from escaping. I know. In this case, I can only choose to trust you once. If I fail, how can our Dongfang family gain a foothold in B City in the future? Dong Fangming said worriedly. He was afraid that Lu Chuan would turn over and the Dongfang mansion would be implicated. After all, the Nangang family is still very powerful. Although they have lost several important characters, they still cannot underestimate the strength of the Nangang family. Let's all disperse. There's nothing to see. This battle ends here. In the future, I will continue to attack the Nangang family, Lu Chuan said to everyone, and then turned and entered the mansion. Everyone outside was talking about it. There were too many points worth discussing in the battle just now. Many of them did not expect that Nanganteng actually lost. This battle also made more people recognize the name Lu Chuan. From now on, the fight between Dongfang Mansion Lu Chuan and Nangang family will become the focus of the whole city. Lu Chuan returned to the yard and sat down in the pavilion. He rested for a while and drank a few sips of tea brought by the servants. Dong Fangming and Dong Fangcheng came to the pavilion. I have locked that guy in the small dark room. There are several iron chains on him. He can't escape. Lu Chuan nodded slightly. What is the status of this person in the Nangang family? The status is very high. He is even trained as a future successor. Dong Fangming said seriously. So important? Then if I use him to exchange people, it should be exchanged, right? Lu Chuan continued to ask. Dong Fangming continued to nod. Yes, we should be able to get it back. The Nangang family probably can't accept the loss of Nanganteng, a young man with great potential. So, don't worry. Next, we should negotiate with the Nangang family. If we can reach an agreement, then it's fine. If not, then we can only continue to fight, and the winner is the king. Chapter 853, The Focus of the City. Nanganteng had just come out of the mountain not long ago, and he was captured by Lu Chuan in the first battle, and is now imprisoned in the Dongfang mansion. This news spread throughout the B City, and caused quite a stir. In the eyes of everyone in B City, Nanganteng is definitely an extremely important person for the Nangang family. After all, the Nangan family is training him as the future successor. Maybe a few decades later, the person in power in the Nangan family will be Nangan Teng. Therefore, this matter is definitely a very serious matter for the Nangan family. It is enough to completely infuriate the Nangan family, making them pay everything and retaliate crazily. At the same time, in the Nangan mansion, the bad news spread to the mansion and to the ears of Nangan Lingaya. She was sitting in the study. After listening to the housekeeper's report, she was immediately restless. Her whole face showed bitterness, and she looked very anxious. How is it possible? How is it possible? How could my brother be defeated by his opponent? She was completely panicked and didn't know what to do next. With her current strength, she is definitely no match for Lu Chuan. Now, even if she mobilizes all the people in the Nangan family, it is probably difficult to beat Lu Chuan. She held her forehead, pursed her lips, and after thinking again and again, she sighed helplessly. I will write a letter and tell my father about this. He will definitely try his best to help us. Grandpa is still in seclusion. We can't alarm him now. When father comes, we will definitely reverse the situation. Nangan Lingaya looked at the housekeeper and asked, do you see it clearly? Did Lu Chuan really just capture my brother? Yes, he captured the young master in the Danfang mansion and didn't seem to hurt him, but it's hard to say what the situation is now. Why don't we go and negotiate with them now? At least let them not act rashly and not cause any harm to the young master, otherwise the consequences will be disastrous. He is the future lord of the mansion, the housekeeper said nervously. Nangan Lingaya nodded slightly. I will definitely negotiate with them, but not now. If we rush over to request negotiation now, I will look too embarrassed in their eyes, and they will also realize that they have captured a very important person. Wait until tomorrow morning to go. Slow down, and don't let them have the upper hand in the negotiation. Send the letter to my father quickly, using the best bird of all worlds cultivated by our family. I know, I'll do it right away. The housekeeper stepped forward and picked up the letter written by Nangan Lingaya, turned around and left in a hurry. Nangan Lingaya looked out the window, and she felt gloomy in her heart. At this moment, she felt that even breathing was not smooth. At night, Lu Chuan had dinner in Danfang mansion. In the dining room, Lu Chuan sat in the middle, and Danfang Cheng and Danfang Ming sat on the left and right sides. We have captured an incredible person this time, Danfang Ming said with a smile while eating. This Nangan Teng has a very high status in the Nangan family. Now that we have caught this guy, we have completely offended the Nangan family and even our Danfang mansion. Now, we have no way back. We must fight the Nangan family to the end. If we don't decide the winner, I'm afraid it will not end well. Mr. Lu, the one called Nangan Lingaya will definitely come to you to discuss things. When the time comes, you must talk to her properly. Danfang Ming reminded. Lu Chuan smiled and said, don't worry, I won't compromise until I achieve my goal. No matter how she threatens me, I won't back down at all. Several people hurriedly ate dinner, and Lu Chuan walked out of the dining room and walked towards the grocery store in the corner. Pushing open the wooden door, dust fell one by one, causing Lu Chuan to dodge quickly. After walking in, Lu Chuan saw Nangan Teng tied with more than a dozen iron chains. Now he is sitting on the ground with his head down, looking listless, as if he has completely lost faith. Hey, do you want to eat? Lu Chuan squatted in front of him and asked. No, I won't eat your food, he said very stubbornly. Lu Chuan laughed. If you don't want to eat, forget it. I don't plan to let you eat. I didn't come here to comfort you. I came to tell you something. What do you want to say? He looked up and stared at Lu Chuan. You were captured by me. Your sister must be very anxious now. She will try to save you. Today or tomorrow, she should come to negotiate with me. Does your sister love you very much? Lu Chuan asked. Nangan Teng gritted his teeth and said angrily, what do you want to do? Maybe your sister will pay something very precious to save you. Nangan Teng shouted angrily, what do you want to do to her? Come to me, if you have any. If you have the guts, do it to me. Don't think about my sister. Lu Chuan couldn't help laughing. I can't do it to you. Don't talk nonsense. Anyway, if you bastards release my people, I may spare you. If you don't, you're dead. Not only you, but also your sister, including your Nangan family, will perish because of this. I want to let the world know what the fate of provoking me, Lu Chuan, is. Your Nangan family is just a trigger. After Lu Chuan finished speaking, he patted his head and stood up to leave. Who did we catch? Tell me. He looked up at Lu Chuan and asked. You arrested a man named Li Zunying. He used to be my subordinate and worked for me. Although I didn't work with him for a long time, he was the one who obeyed my orders. If I can't even protect my subordinates, how can I have the face to stay in Kunlun domain? Li Zunying? This name sounds familiar. I heard my grandfather mention it. Nangan Teng frowned slightly, and after thinking for a moment, he remembered something. Lu Chuan immediately turned back to look at him and asked, your grandfather? Is your grandfather called Nangan Qianying? Yes, you still know my grandfather? Nangan Teng nodded slightly and said it naturally. Obviously he didn't know that Li Zunying had been trying to avenge Nangan Qianying. Your grandfather is still alive, right? Yes, although he is more than 100 years old, he is still in good health and has been practicing in seclusion recently. He said it bluntly. Lu Chuan smiled and nodded. I know. You stay here honestly. I'm leaving first, and I'll come to you if there is any situation. Lu Chuan turned and walked out of the small dark room. Nangan Teng sat on the ground, frowning, feeling that something was wrong. The next morning, after Lu Chuan got up, he immediately got the news that the Nangan family had sent someone over. Lu Chuan put on his clothes and hurried to the yard. In the spacious courtyard behind the gate of the Dongfang mansion, Dongfang Cheng, Dongfang Ming and Lu Chuan were all standing here, waiting for the Nangan family to arrive. Chapter 854 Meeting and Negotiation. The Nangan family visited Dongfang mansion early in the morning, which attracted a lot of onlookers. Now in B City, the most talked about thing is the fight between Lu Chuan and the Nangan family. This has almost become a topic they have to talk about after dinner. After all, this matter is very important to everyone in B City. The street in front of Dongfang mansion was controlled by the Nangan family early on, and no passers-by could be seen. More than 100 guards from the Nangan mansion came out and surrounded Dongfang mansion. Almost all of the people around Dongfang mansion are from the Nangan family. It is really difficult to escape from here. After a long time, a gorgeous carriage slowly drove in. After the door opened, Nangan Lingaya walked out and walked into Dongfang mansion along the stone brick road. Passing through the gate, she slowly walked in. She was wearing a white tight dress, dressed very delicately, with beautiful makeup and a calm expression. She slowly walked into the courtyard and saw Lu Chuan. Then, a smile appeared on her face. Mr. Lu, long time no see. The last time we met was near Lincheng. After she walked in, she only had Lu Chuan's figure in her eyes and ignored the two people next to her. Yes, we were chatting well last time, and then you tricked me. I remember you very clearly, Lu Chuan said with a smile. I think there may be a misunderstanding between us. You still want to fool around now. It's impossible. Face this problem. Lu Chuan looked directly at Nangan Lingaya and continued. If you let them go, I will let them go. If you don't, I won't let them go. Nangan Lingaya sighed helplessly. I really can't do anything. Your people are not with me. What can I use to release them? Aren't you forcing me? She said in embarrassment. Lu Chuan shook his head and smiled, not believing her at all. Don't talk nonsense to me. My attitude is very simple. If you let him go, I will let him go. I will only give you 1 day. If you don't let him go, I will kill Nangan Teng. After these words came out, Nangan Lingaya took a few steps back in fright. Her face turned pale. You can't kill Nangan Teng. This is a big mistake. Lu Chuan put his hands behind his back and said disdainfully, I know this guy is very important in your family, but in my eyes, he is just an ordinary person. What if I kill him? But, I can't do anything in 1 day. Even if the bird of a world sends a message, it will take half a day. If you want to transport people here, it will take even more time. Lu Chuan nodded slightly. So you can't do what I ask in 1 day. Nangan Lingaya continued. How about this? Give me 5 days. I will definitely give you a satisfactory answer. Dan Fangming looked at Lu Chuan and said, 4 days. Give her some time to do things. There is no need to let things get worse. 4 days is not enough, just 1 day, no more. Lu Chuan's attitude was very firm, and he didn't give Nangang Lingar any room for maneuver. 1 day is really not enough. What can I do in such a short time? I can't do anything. If you really want to solve the conflict with me, then I will solve it with you. But if you keep making things difficult for me, it will be very difficult for me to deal with it, she said very firmly. 1 day is definitely not enough for her. Lu Chuan looked at her and shook his head helplessly. I think you are very dishonest. You came here today. Are you trying to delay time with me? Come here to delay enough time so that it will be convenient for you to call someone to retaliate against me, right? Lu Chuan sneered. I'm not a good person. I can save Nangang Teng's life, which is already a face for him. Now you still want to bargain. I tell you directly, it's impossible. Lu Chuan said very firmly, not giving Nangang Lingar any room for maneuver. Nangang Lingar took a deep breath. She felt very embarrassed now. Originally, she thought that she could at least delay the negotiation with Lu Chuan for 4 or 5 days. In this way, she would have enough time to get help from her father to save her and Nangang Teng. However, Lu Chuan was extremely determined and would never give her any chance. Seeing her dejected look, Lu Chuan knew that he had guessed it right. This woman came here just to delay time. She would never compromise and beg for mercy easily. Lu Chuan sneered. If I don't see anyone tonight, you can come and collect the body of Nangang Teng. Nangang Lingar looked up at Lu Chuan, gritted her teeth and said, you dare? Do you know what the consequences of killing him are? What consequences am I afraid of? Stop talking nonsense. If I don't see anyone tonight, you can come and collect the body. Don't talk nonsense to me. Is the strength of the Nangang family so weak in your eyes? Have you ever heard of the strength of my father and my grandfather who is in retreat? If you dare to kill Nangang Teng, you're dead. Do you really think that, if you catch Nangang Teng, you can control everything in the Nangang family? Nangang Lingar clenched her fists and continued, just wait, you're dead. I will never forgive you. She was so angry that she punched the air and turned around to leave. Lu Chuan looked at Dong Fangcheng beside him and said, go, close the door. Dong Fangcheng was stunned for a moment and asked quickly, is it true? Nonsense. Of course it's true. Go and close the door. Nangang Lingar stopped and looked back at Lu Chuan. She widened her eyes and looked at Lu Chuan in disbelief. What do you want to do? Are you going to lock me up too? Have you asked the people in the Nangang family outside? They definitely don't agree. She shouted angrily. At the same time, Dong Fangcheng quickly ran to the door and closed it. Nangang Lingar stood where she was, constantly backing away, looking at Lu Chuan with vigilant eyes. You're crazy. The Nangang family's guards are all here. If you don't let me out, they will never let you go. Lu Chuan said disapprovingly. I'm not afraid. Let them come together. I can kill them all by myself. However, they probably don't have the courage to die. If I catch you now, then the Nangang family in B City will be left unattended, right? I've taken over your Nangang mansion, so it's not impossible. Lu Chuan said, stroking his chin. Nangang Lingar's eyes widened immediately. No, you can't step into the Nangang mansion. That's my territory. She immediately became anxious, but now she was standing alone in the Dongfang mansion. The guards who followed her in had already been controlled. She looked very helpless. From today on, you and Nangang Teng will be locked up here together. When Nangang Qianying shows up, I will consider releasing you too. Chapter 855, to captives. As soon as Lu Chuan finished speaking, someone came over and held Nangang Lingar's shoulders, forcibly controlling her body. Let me go. You are not worthy of touching my body. How dare you? She shouted, but no matter how she struggled, she could not break free from the restraints. Dong Fangming stood aside, and at this moment, he was already extremely nervous. Mr. Lu, this Nangang Lingar is not an ordinary person. If we tie her up, then this matter will become a big deal. Lu Chuan said disapprovingly. It doesn't matter if it becomes a big deal. I have only one goal, which is to force Nangang Qianying out and kill him, and then my goal will be achieved. Go, take this guy to the small dark room. Don't let them be locked up together. Lu Chuan shouted, and the servant hurriedly bowed his head and said, yes. Then, Nangang Lingar was escorted to the small dark room. Dan Fangming swallowed nervously. If this gets out, it will really make a sensation in the whole city. By the way, there are a lot of Nangang family guards surrounding outside the city. How should we deal with them? Lu Chuan sneered. These people who are paid, do you expect them to work hard? Send someone out to tell them, either go back, or line up to fight me. Let them choose one of the two. Dan Fangming nodded and laughed. No problem, I guess no one dares to fight. He ran out of the mansion gate quickly, and shouted to the people guarding the street outside, please go back, your master will stay here for a while. At this time, several of the guards ran over quickly. Dan Fangming, what do you mean by this? What do you mean by staying for a few days? Where is Miss Nangang? Let her out quickly. What did you do to her? Are you, the Dan Fang family, going to fight with our Nangang family? Dan Fangming spread his hands helplessly and said with a smile, I'm really sorry, everyone. Mr. Lu Chuan wants to have a heart-to-heart with your Miss Nangang. She will stay here for a few days. If you are not satisfied and want to break in, it's not impossible. But in that case, you have to fight with Mr. Lu. If you win, you can take your people away. If you lose, you can leave your life behind. After saying this, the guards were all dumbfounded. What? You want us to fight Lu Chuan? This is not a joke. How can we possibly win? Isn't it just suicide? Forget it. Since Miss Nangang is going to stay here for a few days, we will go back first. Tell us when she is going back, and we will come to meet her. When these people heard Dan Fangming's words, they immediately walked down the stairs, and turned around, and left with a wry smile. After seeing this group of people off, Dan Fangming returned to the mansion. He walked quickly towards Dan Fangcheng and asked, this matter seems to be going to get out of hand. How should we deal with it next? It has already gotten out of hand. What else is missing? Don't worry. Lu Chuan will handle it. It is the Nangang family that is bullying us too much and doesn't take us seriously at all. It is right for Lu Chuan to fight back. Their current problem is that they are stubborn and will never release the person. I even suspect that the arrested Li Zunying may have died. Dan Fangming's eyes widened immediately. Then, if this person dies, what will be the result? With Lu Chuan's personality, I think the Nangang family will perish. Dan Fangming took a deep breath. This is too much. The Nangang family has been entrenched in the surrounding cities for decades. No one has been able to defeat them. Can they really perish in Lu Chuan's hands? I think it's difficult. Dan Fangming sighed. He knew the strength of the Nangang family better than Dan Fangcheng and Lu Chuan, so he didn't think that Lu Chuan alone could fight against this huge family force. There is a huge gap between them. Even if his Dan Fang mansion is added, there is still little hope. Dan Fangcheng patted his shoulder and said with a smile, you don't know Lu Chuan, and I don't know the Nangang family. We can't talk to each other now, but soon, we will see the result. Let's wait and see what the result will be. The two younger generations of the Nangang family have been caught. The old men of the Nangang family must be restless now. Dan Fangcheng said with a smile, without any pressure at all. On the contrary, Dan Fangming is under great pressure now, and sighs from time to time. At this time, Lu Chuan came to the small black room, where Nangang Teng was imprisoned. He has been sitting with his head down for a whole night. When he saw Lu Chuan push the door in, he reluctantly raised his head. He couldn't accept his huge gap, so he was completely decadent in this black room. Before leaving the retreat, he imagined countless times that he lived a free and easy life in B City. However, the first battle, after leaving the mountain, brought him such a huge blow. He couldn't accept this huge gap. He closed himself up for 3 years and even got contaminated with evil things in order to break through the realm. After making such great efforts, he was beaten up in his first battle. This gap almost broke his heart. Lu Chuan, what are you doing here? You can kill me, or chop me up, whatever you want. He said weakly. Aren't you afraid of death? It's not easy for you to cultivate to this level. He gritted his teeth and said, I can't face the people of my family. I have spent so many resources, and made so much effort, but I still can't protect my family. I'm a loser. His tone was full of pain and his voice was extremely low. I came to tell you that your sister Nangang Lingaya was caught. I caught her. Lu Chuan said calmly. Nangang Teng suddenly looked up and looked at Lu Chuan. You caught her too? If you dare to touch her, I will never forgive you. Lu Chuan couldn't help laughing. You are in this situation, but you still want to threaten me. You are so brave. I didn't touch your sister, but if you don't let her go, I will let you two die together. Nangang took a deep breath. It is absolutely impossible to ask my grandfather to let them go. Whoever he wants to kill must die no matter what. He will never compromise. He is a very stubborn person. Once he makes up his mind, no one can change it. If you ask him to let someone go, it's almost like asking for his life. Lu Chuan said disdainfully, this old man is quite individual, but it doesn't matter. If he doesn't let them go, I will kill both of you, a grandson and a granddaughter. I don't believe he is so cruel. If he kills that person, I will kill your entire Nangang family. I mean what I say. I only give you 2 days. If I don't see Nangang Kyuning within 2 days, you and your sister will be dead. But don't worry, I will let you two meet before you die. Lu Chuan walked towards the door. Before leaving, he said calmly, if I can't even deal with the Nangang family, how can I deal with the Lu family? This is a compulsory course for me. Chapter 856, Nangang Family Support. In the courtyard of Danfang Mansion, Lu Chuan walked towards Danfang Cheng and Danfang Ming. Are these two locked up? Danfang Ming asked. Yes, they are all locked up. They can't escape. Don't let any of them go. Danfang Ming nodded repeatedly and continued to ask, what's next? Should we wait and see, or take the initiative? After thinking for a moment, Lu Chuan smiled and said, the people who are anxious now should be the Nangang family. They will definitely take action quickly. Don't worry too much. I will take care of this matter. Danfang Cheng smiled and nodded. I believe you can handle this matter, but we'd better act quickly and don't give them too many opportunities to prepare. Danfang Ming looked at the butler next to him and waved at him. Come here. The housekeeper trotted over and hurried to Danfang Ming. Master, is there anything you want to tell me? Recently, send more people to investigate the situation in the city and monitor the movements in Nangang Mansion more clearly. Report to me immediately if there is any disturbance. The housekeeper nodded and said, yes, I'll do it right away. He turned and left quickly. Rest first. Fighting with Nangang must have consumed a lot of energy, right? Danfang Ming asked with a smile. Lu Chuan waved his hand and said disapprovingly, it's nothing serious, don't worry. At this moment, a servant in the mansion walked over quickly. Master, there is a piece of news about the Nangang family recently. I wonder if you know it. Danfang Ming looked at the servant and asked, what news? Just tell me. If I know it, it's fine. It's like this. A caravan of the Nangang family is coming back soon. It should arrive in B City in the evening. The purpose is to replenish resources for the Nangang family in B City. Really? I haven't heard of this. Where did this caravan come from? Danfang Ming asked hurriedly. That caravan is said to come from Xianan City. Isn't that the location of the Nangang family's headquarters? The head of the Nangang family, Nangang Shan, is also there. He is the father of Nangang Teng and Nangang Lingaya. Danfang Ming nodded slightly. He began to frown and think seriously. I think this caravan is not ordinary. If they come to B City and know what happened here, they will probably be a threat to us. Danfang Ming looked at Lu Chuan and asked, there are definitely strong people escorting this caravan. We should find a way to take the initiative and deal with this caravan. Danfang Cheng also looked at Lu Chuan. How do you plan to deal with it? Since this caravan came from Xianan City, the escort of the caravan must be strong. It is probably full of various treasures. Lu Chuan looked at the servant beside him and asked, has the caravan arrived in B City now? If not, how far is it from B City? Lu Chuan asked. The caravan is still some distance away from B City. If you go out from the north of the city and go along the main road, you will run into this caravan. Lu Chuan looked at Danfang Cheng and said, in that case, I will just drop them halfway. Do it directly? That's fine. We can catch them by surprise. If they enter B City and learn what happened here, I'm afraid the situation will be very unfavorable to us. Lu Chuan patted Danfang Cheng on the shoulder and said, go and bring the horses. Let's set off now. Danfang Ming held Danfang Cheng's arm and reminded him, if you two go out to rob their caravan, it's not impossible, but you have to be careful and don't be too careless. I'll go and bring the 2 fastest horses in the mansion. You two wait here for a while. I'll be back soon. He turned around and left, walking towards a stable in the mansion. After a while, 2 strong black horses were brought over. Dan Fangming handed the reins to Lu Chuan and An Fangcheng. Lu Chuan and An Fangcheng got on their horses together and left Dan Fang mansion. Along the street, the two rode towards the north of the city. It was still early in the evening, and Lu Chuan and An Fangcheng rode out of B City from the north gate of the city. They drove along the main road. The sturdy black horse galloped on the road. Dan Fangcheng concentrated on driving the fast horse, turned his head, and looked at Lu Chuan, and asked, "Mr. Lu, we first captured Nangang Ting, then Nangang Lingaya, and now we have to rob their caravan. If the Nangang family knew about it, they would be furious. Then Nangang Shan, if he received these 3 messages in a row, he would be angry to death, right?" Dan Fangcheng said with a smile. "The people of the Nangang family are ignorant of life and death, and they insist on confronting me to the end. In this case, they should be taught a painful lesson." Lu Chuan squinted his eyes and looked into the distance. He saw a convoy of carriages moving slowly in the distance. Seeing the purple accessories on the carriage, Lu Chuan immediately recognized that this was the Nangang family's convoy. "I didn't expect that I would run into the Nangang family's caravan not long after leaving the city." Lu Chuan looked at Dan Fangcheng and said, "Speed up, the caravan is just ahead, just rob them." Lu Chuan sped up, and Dan Fangcheng quickly followed behind. However, as they got closer, Lu Chuan frowned. The caravan seemed to be stuck in place and had not moved forward. Lu Chuan frowned and looked at the driver's seat of the carriage, but could not see the shadow of the driver. There were no other people around. Lu Chuan began to slow down. Dan Fangcheng, slow down. Something is wrong here, and everyone here is gone. Dan Fangcheng looked at the caravan in front of him, immediately pulled the reins, and stopped moving forward. "Mr. Lu, something is wrong. Everyone here is gone. Where did they go?" Lu Chuan held the reins tightly, glanced around, and said in a serious voice, "I think they knew that the 2 of us were coming, so they just abandoned the car and fled. I'm afraid I don't think they ran away at all. Maybe they are hiding somewhere nearby." Lu Chuan glanced around, rode slowly forward, and came to the carriage. "Hey, if there's anyone inside, get out now," Lu Chuan shouted loudly. However, after shouting, no one responded to Lu Chuan's voice. "Open the door and take a look." Lu Chuan walked to the side of the carriage, drew out the soul-breaking sword, lifted the curtain, and peeked into the carriage. No one anywhere. This is very wrong. Did these people run away directly after seeing the 2 of us coming? Dan Fangcheng got off the horse, came to a carriage, opened the door, and saw that it was empty. "There's still no one. There's no one in this caravan at all. These people knew we were coming, so they abandoned the car and fled halfway." Dan Fangcheng looked at Lu Chuan and walked towards him quickly. "There's no one in these carriages. We are a step late. These people knew we were coming, and they all ran away." Chapter 857. Intercepting the caravan. Lu Chuan looked at the 5 carriages in front of him, scratched his head, and felt a little confused. When did these people get the information? Could it be that when we left the city, we were seen by the people of the Nangang family? So they left the city 1 step ahead to inform these people to escape. Lu Chuan looked at Dan Fangcheng and said, "Never mind. Let's see if the things on the car are still there, and we will take them all." "Okay, I see there are a few boxes on the car, and they may contain good things." He hurriedly got on the car and opened the wooden box. In the simple wooden box, there were some simple spiritual stones. These stones containing spiritual energy can help practitioners to replenish their spiritual energy. Dan Fangcheng held a notebook in one hand and opened the wooden box with the other hand and began to record the things inside. After nearly half an hour, he got off the carriage and walked towards Lu Chuan. "Mr. Lu, I have finished the statistics. There are a total of 5,000 spiritual stones, 3,000 taels of gold, and some precious items, including some spiritual healing medicines, antidotes and the like. Are there any valuables?" Lu Chuan asked. "Yes, there is a pill called Xianling pill, which is much stronger than Xianyuan pill. It is of good quality and can be used to help martial artists break through their own realm. Lu Chuan got off his horse and walked towards Dan Fangcheng. In Dan Fangcheng's hand was a delicate jade bottle. 3 big characters were engraved on the bottle. Xianling pill. This pill is used for elm breakthrough. I think it may be used to help Nangang Teng. In that case, I will take it first. Lu Chuan took the jade bottle. Dan Fangcheng is still in the Martial King realm. It's good that he can only use Xianyuan pill now. It's not his turn to use Xianling pill. Take all the other things back to the Dan Fang mansion. So many things. This is a lot of money. The Nangang family will be in pain this time. Dan Fangcheng said with a smile, and then walked towards the head of the convoy. After sitting in the driver's seat, he drove the first carriage forward. Although the carriage behind was unmanned, it followed closely behind the first carriage, and kept the same speed. Lu Chuan watched the convoy moving along the road, heading towards B City. When he was about to mount his horse, he suddenly saw a piece of paper on the side of the road. Lu Chuan stopped mounting his horse, walked to the side of the road, and picked up the paper. Upon closer inspection, the writer of the letter was actually Nangang Xian. Nangang Xian's letter was unexpectedly delivered here at this time. Obviously, this guy used the Bird of All Worlds to deliver the information, and just before Lu Chuan arrived here, he delivered the information. After receiving the letter, the gang fled in a hurry, even leaving the carriage behind. Lu Chuan read the contents of the letter silently. Captain of the caravan, listen to my orders. The moment you receive this letter, you must return immediately and stay away from B City. If you get close to B City, your life will be in danger. B City is now in an extremely dangerous state. The industrial power of the Nangang family in B City is all controlled by the enemy. I have made preparations to deal with the enemy. When you receive this letter, please return immediately. I will lead the team in person to kill the crazy enemy. After reading it, Lu Chuan crumpled the letter into a small ball and threw it into the grass beside him. You are ready, right? Then come on. Lu Chuan said disdainfully, and then walked towards the black horse. After riding on the horse, Lu Chuan quickly returned to B City. After seeing the Nangang family's carriage, many passers-by in the city began to talk about it. This caravan seems to be the Nangang family's caravan. Yeah, how come they are delivering goods at this time? Doesn't the Nangang family know what happened here? Maybe the message was not delivered in time, and the caravan was still caught. Look, there is no one in the carriage, just one person, and he is from the Danfang family. Oh my god, the Danfang family is going to make a fortune this time. There must be a lot of good things in this carriage. How can there be few good things in the Nangang family's caravan? However, I see that the other people in the caravan have escaped. I guess what's left in the car are not the truly precious things. Haha, there are a lot of other things. We can definitely get the spirit stones and gold. These things are the most difficult to move. Indeed, even if the precious items are taken away, the remaining money is enough to make a big profit. It's really sad that the once glorious Nangang family has ended up like this. Don't worry, the ending has not been decided yet. Indeed, the true strength of the Nangang family has not yet been exerted. It is still unclear who will win or lose. Lu Chuan rode through the street, not taking the discussion of the group seriously. After returning to the Danfang mansion, Dan Fangming hurried out to greet Lu Chuan. Mr. Lu, you are back so soon. How is the situation? Where is Master Dan Fangcheng? He asked hurriedly. Lu Chuan got off his horse and walked quickly into the mansion. We have brought the caravan back. The people of the Nangang family who escorted the carriage have all escaped. They received the news in advance and directly abandoned the carriage and fled. Go and send a few people to help Dan Fangcheng bring the carriage in. Dan Fangming nodded repeatedly. Okay, no problem. He waved to the housekeeper again and handed the matter to the housekeeper. Lu Chuan sat at the table and drank a cup of tea. Then he got up and walked towards the small dark room. Pushing the door open and walking in, he saw Nangang Lingaya, who was tied up, lying on the bed, looking at the roof with tears in her eyes. How do you feel? Lu Chuan walked over, but Nangang Lingaya did not speak. A caravan from your Nangang family will arrive at B City today. They are coming from Xianan City. Nangang Lingaya suddenly widened her eyes when she heard this, and then turned to look at Lu Chuan. What did you do to them? She suddenly remembered, now that she was going to receive a batch of goods transported by a caravan. They all ran away, and we took down the carriages. Now Dongfang Cheng is coming back with a few carriages. They received the message from your father in advance, which was sent by the Bird of All Worlds. When they received the message, they were not far from B City, so they simply abandoned the carriages and fled. That's good. Fortunately no one died. Nangang Lingai sighed with relief. Lu Chuan pulled out the soul-breaking sword and placed it on Nangang Lingai's body. What is the strength of your father, Nangang Shan? Tell me, Lu Chuan asked. You don't need to know my father's strength. You just need to know that he can kill you. You are very confident in your father's strength, right? Then what is his strength? What level is he in the martial saint realm? It's definitely not the first level. If it's the first level, then there will be no pressure in the fight. Second level, third level? If it's the third level, I still have the ability to fight it, but if it's higher, it may be in danger. Nangang Lingai burst into laughter. Ha 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 ha, are you dreaming? You are a first level martial saint, and you want to fight against a third level martial saint? You are totally looking for death. A third level martial saint can beat you into a cripple. Chapter 858 Father's Old Acquaintance. In the small dark room, Lu Chuan stared at Nangang Lingai seriously. Why were you so excited when I mentioned the third level of the martial saint realm? And you even claimed that the third level of the martial saint realm could defeat me? Could it be? Nangang Lingai stopped laughing and turned her head to the side, unwilling to look at Lu Chuan again. Isn't your father's strength the third level of the martial saint realm? Lu Chuan asked. Nangang Lingai still turned her head to the side, unwilling to look at Lu Chuan. Lu Chuan sneered. So that's how it is. The strength of that Nangang Shan is the third level of the martial saint realm. Now I have a clue. Don't even think about the third level of the martial saint realm beating me up. It's impossible, unless the father and son go into battle together. Otherwise, they are just here to die. Bullshit. I don't believe you have the confidence to cross two small realms to challenge my father. She turned her head back and looked at Lu Chuan. Her eyes became firm, as if she had placed all her hopes on Nangang Shan. It is indeed difficult to cross two small realms, not to mention, there are two small realms in the martial saint realm. If it were a normal situation, I would be beaten by a third grade martial saint, and would have no power to fight back. But that is the normal situation, and there are exceptions. For ordinary people, without any external blessing, then the situation would indeed be like this. But people are complicated, and their experiences and composition are complicated. Although I have the strength of a first grade martial saint realm, the added value I have can increase the variables to a greater extent. So you can rest assured, your father will be defeated by me, and he may not dare to fight with me. After all, you are still here. Nangang Lingai suddenly became anxious and shouted, if you have the ability, fight my father like a man, instead of using me to threaten my father. She shouted anxiously, fearing that she would become a burden to her father. I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. Wait for my result. If he knows what's good for him, I'll bring him here alive. If he doesn't, I'll bring his head here. You'll see him sooner or later. Lu Chuan stood up and walked out of the small dark room. Nangang Lingai looked at Lu Chuan's back, feeling extremely anxious, but trapped in this dark environment, she could do nothing and couldn't help. After Lu Chuan walked out, he saw the carriage slowly coming in. 5 carriages, even this courtyard couldn't carry them, and one of the carriages had to be parked outside the door. The servants of the Dongfang family hurriedly moved and took down all the wealth from the carriages. Dongfang Cheng and Dongfang Ming stood aside, and they couldn't help but smile. Looking at the bright gold made people drool. After Lu Chuan came over, the two hurriedly looked at Lu Chuan. Mr. Lu, I've been in B City for so many years, and this is the first time I've seen so much wealth. The Nangang family is really rich. He sighed. Although the strength of the Dongfang family is several times stronger than that of the Nangang family. But what does that have to do with the Dongfang mansion in B City? Dongfang Ming had never seen so much wealth coming into the account in B City, which made him smile. Lu Chuan looked at Dongfang Cheng and said, when I came to B City, I asked you about the existence of a Lu family mansion in B City. Take me there to have a look. Dan Fangming looked at Lu Chuan and said with a smile, "Oh, that Lu mansion is not as good as our Dan Fang mansion. It's even smaller and not worth mentioning. Any small family in B City is stronger than them. Although they are related to the Lu family in Kunlun domain, to be honest, the connection is really not that great. The intelligence they regularly report to the Lu family headquarters has been rejected several times, and the resource assistance given to them is pitifully small." Lu Chuan asked curiously, "Why is this so? Is the Lu mansion here because of unfavorable development?" "It's not that the development is unfavorable. The few businesses they run are not bad, but they were suppressed, and it became the current situation. Well, there's no way. To be honest, we in the Danfang mansion in B City have never fought with the Lu mansion. We are brothers in distress. They are in much more trouble than us." Dan Fangming sighed. Lu Chuan nodded slightly. "I see. I'll go and take a look. They were suppressed for other reasons." Dan Fangcheng followed Lu Chuan, and the two walked out of the gate and walked along the street towards the Lu mansion. The two followed the map of B City and groped their way to the location of the Lu mansion. The Lu mansion is located in the southern corner of the city. It is relatively deserted, with few people and no family touching this place. There is also a large area of wasteland around. Lu Chuan followed the broken stone road and came to the door of the Lu mansion. There was not even a guard at the door, and one of the double doors had a crack. Lu Chuan walked forward and carefully pushed open the door of the Lu mansion. Squeak. The old and rotten door was slowly pushed open, and the noise made people feel headache. Lu Chuan walked into the mansion and saw several children playing in the courtyard. In the center of the courtyard, there was a dead tree, and next to it was a stone table and stone chairs, where two old men were playing chess. "Hey, who is in charge here?" Lu Chuan asked loudly. The children who were playing stopped, and the old men who were playing chess opened their frowning brows and all turned their heads to look at Lu Chuan. Bang! The door of the main room was pushed open, and a tall figure walked out quickly. "Who is visiting? Tell me your name." The man who came was a middle-aged man. He was wearing a simple grey robe, and his eyes were bright as he stared at the two visitors, Lu Chuan and An Fangcheng. "My name is Lu Chuan. You should have heard of my name." Lu Chuan. He suddenly lowered his head and fell into deep thought. Lu Chuan, this name sounds so familiar. I have definitely heard of it. It seems. Dan Fangcheng hurriedly said with a smile. The name Lu Chuan is now a household name in B City. It is impossible that you don't know it. The man looked up suddenly. "I know your name, but I didn't hear it from B City, but when I was at the Lu family headquarters." "Your father is Lu Kangsheng?" Lu Chuan was stunned for a moment, then nodded and said, "Yes, my father Lu Kangsheng. That's right." "Ha ha ha. That's right. I remembered you. I know your father, although not very familiar with him. But I remember it very clearly. Your father is a good man, but unfortunately, he was harmed by a villain, and was abandoned by the family, and driven to the secular world. I didn't expect that one day, his son Lu Kangsheng would travel thousands of miles from the secular world to Kunlun domain, and even stand in front of me. This is a complete miracle." He widened his eyes and shouted in surprise. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 859, The Destitute Lu Mansion. The man in front of him walked towards Lu Chuan quickly. He stood in front of Lu Chuan and looked at Lu Chuan's body with his eyes in disbelief. "Although your father Lu Kangsheng and I are not close friends, we are also old friends. It is really sad to meet the son of an old friend today." He sighed. "Why did you come to B City? What are you going to do here?" Lu Chuan looked at him and asked curiously, "You live here? Didn't you go to inquire about what happened in the city?" "I'm practicing in the study, and I haven't gone out for the past 2 days. I came here for the Nangang family." He looked at Lu Chuan curiously. "Are you involved with the Nangang family? What do you want to do with them? They captured a friend of mine, and now I want to retaliate against them and force them to release the person." Hearing this, the man in front of him was startled and couldn't help but take 2 steps back. "What? You want to take revenge on the Nangang family and force them to release them?" This is ridiculous. Don't you know the strength of the Nangang family? They are the overlords in B City. No other family can compare to them. Lu Chuan shrugged disapprovingly. Do you know Nangang Lingaya and Nangang Teng? Of course I know these two. They are the young ladies and young masters of the Nangang family. They have extremely high status, power and strength. I have captured both of them, Lu Chuan said calmly, walking towards the pavilion next to him. After a moment of stunned silence, the man hurriedly followed Lu Chuan's footsteps. He followed Lu Chuan and sat on the wooden chair in the pavilion. He frowned and looked at Lu Chuan. Are you serious? You were able to capture Nangang Lingaya? Even if we don't talk about Nangang Lingaya, Nangang Teng is very powerful and gifted. Isn't he your opponent? He still looked at Lu Chuan with shock and asked curiously. Lu Chuan nodded again. That's right. Nangang Teng is not my opponent, and I also successfully captured Nangang Lingaya. They both have a common characteristic, which is the arrogance of a big family, so I have the opportunity to capture both of them. The remaining people in the Nangang family dare not attack me. They are not strong enough and can only wait for support from the family headquarters. I see. But it's still amazing that the people of the Nangang family were so easily controlled by you. Lu Chuan just smiled faintly and continued to ask, by the way, I don't know your name yet. My name is Lu Xianyu, and I'm in my early 40s. Your father is my predecessor, and I respect him very much. I'm also very sad that he ended up like this. There's no way. My own strength is average, and I can't provide any help. What's more, my family is still here. Otherwise, I will send people to the secular world, and maybe I can help you. Lu Chuan waved his hand. It's over. Let's not talk about those things for now. By the way, why did you find here? You came to Kunlun Domain, and the Lu family must have been eyeing you. They will take action against you sooner or later. Lu Chuan smiled and said, I have fought with them many times before. Every time they attacked me, I resolved it. Now the Lu family is deeply involved in the struggle with the Dongfang family and has no time to take care of me. Therefore, I have the spare energy to deal with the affairs of the Nangang family. I see. If it is as you said, then the Nangang family in B City is now in a state of no one managing it? Lu Chuan nodded slightly. Yes, that's right. The Nangang family's industries and businesses in B City are very large, and they make a lot of money. I came to the Lu mansion just to encourage the Lu mansion to swallow up the Nangang family's industries. Hearing this, Lu Xianyu sat upright, frowning, staring at Lu Chuan. You want me to swallow up their industries? Will you help me achieve this? Lu Chuan nodded. Yes, that's right. Then, what do I have to pay for it? He asked sensibly, knowing that pie doesn't fall from the sky. The price to pay is that you have to listen to my orders, not the Lu family and Lu Fusheng. After Lu Chuan finished speaking, Lu Xianyu lowered his head. He pondered for a long time, weighing the pros and cons in his mind. I originally thought that, since I was banished to the cold palace by the family, I would just live the rest of my life here peacefully and just get by. I don't pursue fame, wealth, or the highest realm. Being able to be with my family is enough. But I didn't expect that I would have this day. This opportunity really fell on my head inexplicably. It's as if God is telling me that you, Lu Xianyu, can't hide here. You should do something earth-shaking. He looked up at Lu Chuan and asked again, are you really planning to let me swallow up the Nangang family? And then what? Swallow up the Nangang family's industry, and then continue to develop here. From now on, you will be my subordinate, and must always obey my orders. One day, when the person in power in this behemoth Lu family changes, you must stand firmly behind me. After Lu Chuan finished speaking, Lu Xianyu thought for a moment and then nodded. I've long disliked Lu Fusheng, so it's totally fine for me to stand on your side. If that's the case, then from today on, I'm your man. I'll follow your orders and execute your decisions. I believe in you too. One day, you'll break through Lu Fusheng's shackles, eliminate his power, and transform the huge Lu mansion. Lu Chuan smiled and nodded, then raised his hand to Lu Xianyu. If that's the case, then it's a deal. Lu Xianyu quickly raised his hand and shook hands with Lu Chuan. It's a deal, he said in a firm tone. Lu Chuan retracted his right hand and continued. Now, you can come with me to the Nangang mansion. You take the lead and bring back the wealth in the Nangang mansion. If anyone tries to stop us, I will take action. Lu Xiaoyu was suddenly a little panicked. Go and rob the wealth directly? If I do this, I'm afraid it will anger the Nangang family. The Nangang family didn't take me seriously at all. If they had a little awe of me, they would not have kidnapped Li Zunying. Since they don't want to talk to me properly, then there is no need to talk. I'm going to teach them a lesson. Otherwise, my reputation, Lu Chuan, will not stand in this Kunlun domain. It's a good thing to use the Nangang family as a starting point to establish my reputation. Lu Xiaoyu looked at Lu Chuan and sighed. I didn't expect that Lu Kangsheng's son would be so courageous and courageous. I'll accompany you to bring back the wealth of the Nangang mansion. He stood up and immediately prepared to leave. Chapter 860. Incorporating the Lu family. Lu Xiaoyu summoned several strong men in the mansion. The Lu mansion in B City is really shabby, and there are not even 10 strong men in the Martial King realm. Only Lu Xiaoyu's strength is acceptable, and he is the 5th level of the Martial Emperor realm. Although he is still far behind some of the strong men in the Nangang mansion, he now has Lu Chuan as his backing, so he can be fearless. It can even be said that in the current B City, Lu Chuan can walk sideways. Before the strong men from the Nangang family mansion arrive, Lu Chuan can be free here for a while. When Nangang Shan comes here, there will inevitably be a big battle. Lu Chuan will exert his own extreme strength to have the possibility of crossing 2 small realms to defeat Nangang Shan. Lu Chuan came to the door of the Lu mansion. The front of the door is still desolate, and occasionally a few beggars can be seen wandering here. After waiting at the door for a while, I saw Lu Xiaoyu and a few people coming out. Lu Chuan, these are the strongest warriors in the mansion. Everyone, this is Lu Chuan. Has anyone heard of him? At this time, one of them raised his hand and said loudly, I went to the city center to purchase goods last night and accidentally heard the name of Lu Chuan. It seems that you have had too little communication with the outside world recently. If it weren't for our surname Lu, I'm afraid these people in the city would not give us any face. He looked at everyone and continued, everyone, once upon a time, you were all famous strong men, but as you grow older, your previous talents are getting weaker and weaker. Today, we can only live in this small courtyard. This is absolutely unfair to us. Why can't we make a fortune, earn a lot of money, expand our influence, improve our strength? Today is the time to change all this. We will rewrite all this. Our B City Lu mansion will change its original status and strength, and will rise completely. Lu Xiaoyu's words made everyone excited. But after they were excited, they began to be curious again. Boss, I don't want to be decadent, but what can we do? There is no business in the city that we can get involved in. How can we expand our power? That's right. With the giant Nangang family blocking the way, we have no chance at all. Could it be that we go to the Nangang family and lick their boots, follow them and become their younger brothers, so that we can get a share of the pie? Are you crazy? If you follow the Nangang family, what if the headquarters finds out? Wouldn't we become traitors? Several people discussed. Lu Xiaoyu continued, everyone, the situation is like this. From now on, we will obey Lu Chuan. We will do whatever he tells us to do. Lu Chuan? Several people looked at Lu Chuan's young face and hesitated. He looks so young, can he grasp the overall situation? Kunlun domain speaks with strength. If we are not as strong as the Nangang family, we will never develop. That's right. If we can't beat the Nangang family, how can we develop? This city is full of Nangang family's younger brothers. All the powerful family forces are Nangang family's pawns. It's a dead end. What's the point of our efforts now? These people immediately saw the reality. They knew that they had no chance to develop and rise again. So, they all collected their weapons and planned to play badly again. At this time, the one who had heard of Lu Chuan's name stopped everyone. Everyone, when I entered the city last night, I heard Lu Chuan's name. Do you know? Lu Chuan defeated Nangang Teng. As soon as this was said, everyone present started to talk. What did you say? He defeated Nangang Teng. Don't be kidding. Nangang Teng, I heard that he is about to break through to the Martial Saint realm. Even if he hasn't broken through, he will have the strength of the peak of the Martial Emperor realm. How many people can be opponents of such a powerful person? Everyone was very unconvinced. Lu Chuan gave Lu Xiaonayu a look and asked him to continue explaining. Lu Xiaonayu smiled and raised his hands to attract everyone's attention. Everyone, Lu Chuan defeated Nangang Teng and Nangang Lingaya. Now the Nangang mansion in B City is unmanned and in a state of chaos. Now, this is our chance to pick peaches. Now, let's do it. Lu Chuan will guarantee our safety. You should all know the wealth of the Nangang family. The wealth is so huge and amazing that we will never enjoy the glory and wealth. Several people looked at each other, and for a moment, they were all excited. Although the risk is huge, the benefits are also quite exaggerated. They discussed in a low voice and were willing to follow Lu Xiaonayu. Lu Xiaonayu has been managing the Lu mansion in B City for many years and has established a strong enough prestige. Therefore, as long as his decision is not particularly outrageous, this group of people will listen carefully and start to act immediately. Lu Xiaonayu led everyone along the broken brick road and walked towards the center of the city. Soon, they came to the prosperous downtown area. This is the core area of B City, where the major families are entrenched. Walking here, Lu Xiaonayu couldn't help but sigh. This prosperous B City has nothing to do with us before. Now, it is about to usher in the world of our Lu family. Lu Xiaonayu looked at Lu Chuan and said with a smile, all this depends on you. Making this decision is undoubtedly the riskiest decision in Lu Xiaonayu's life. He wants to betray Lu Fusheng and join Lu Chuan's camp. This is definitely a gamble. But he doesn't want to rot here for the rest of his life, so he decided to take a gamble and believe in Lu Chuan. The first time he met Lu Chuan, the source of his trust in Lu Chuan came from the memory of Lu Kangsheng. He admired Lu Kangsheng's character and knew in his heart that as Lu Kangsheng's son, Lu Chuan would not be too bad. They hurried to the gate of Nangang Mansion. Lu Xiaonayu took a deep breath and walked quickly towards the gate. There were 2 rows of guards standing in front of the magnificent vermilion gate. They had serious expressions and stern faces. When they saw Lu Xiaonayu, they stood in front of the door and blocked his way. Please go back. Nangang Mansion does not receive any guests now. Please go back. Several guards in front of him blocked Lu Xiaonayu's way. Lu Xiaonayu seemed helpless for a moment and looked back at Lu Chuan, as if asking for help. Lu Chuan took 2 steps forward and stood in front of several guards. Do you know me? The 6 guards at the door all stepped back and stared at Lu Chuan with serious expressions. You are Lu Chuan? What are you doing here? We in Nangang Mansion don't welcome you. Please go back. Lu Chuan laughed. Is it any use if you don't welcome me? Open the door now. If you don't obey, don't blame me for taking action. Chapter 861, Looted. As soon as Lu Chuan finished speaking, the guards pushed open the gates and presented the road to Lu Chuan. Follow me and keep going. Lu Chuan led the way into the Nangang Mansion. Lu Xiaonayu was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that he could enter the Nangang Mansion so easily. In the past, if he wanted to enter the Nangang Mansion once, it would be really difficult. Lu Xiaonayu led his men into the Nangang Mansion quickly. Lu Chuan had just walked in a few steps when the old housekeeper of the Nangang Mansion came up to him quickly. Master Lu. The old housekeeper looked at Lu Chuan in surprise. He didn't expect that Lu Chuan would come directly to their Nangang Mansion. Why are you here? Lu Chuan glanced at him and said, are you a stutterer? No. Then speak to me nicely. Mr. Lu, when will our young master and young lady come back? We have been waiting for a long time. If they don't come back, our Nangang family will not be able to operate. Mr. Lu, please be kind and let Nangang Lingaya come back. She has been spoiled since she was a child and can't bear hardship. Are they 2 okay now? You should not have hurt them, right? His series of questions made Lu Chuan a little annoyed. You're talking too much nonsense. Nangang Lingaya has been locked up in a small dark room by me. She has simple food and drink, which can ensure that she will not die. As for whether she can endure hardship, don't worry about that. Worry about whether her life can be saved first. The old housekeeper panicked immediately and asked hurriedly, what does this mean? Are you really going to kill them? They are young and ignorant. When dealing with things, they are a little extreme. You are generous. Lu Chuan sneered. I'm also a young man, and I'm also extreme. Is there a problem? The housekeeper was speechless for a moment, not knowing what to say. "Housekeeper, where is your family's warehouse?" Lu Chuan asked. The housekeeper was about to open his mouth to speak, but suddenly realized that something was wrong and immediately closed his mouth. "Why are you asking this?" he asked nervously. "What do you think?" Lu Chuan grabbed his shoulders and asked with a smile. The housekeeper swallowed nervously. "Let's not do it. Take us to the warehouse, or you will lose your life. Choose one." The housekeeper immediately became dejected. "Then, I'll take you there. Anyway, the young lady and the young master are in your hands. There is no point in me resisting." He sighed helplessly. As a housekeeper, he had little fighting power. Facing Lu Chuan, he could do nothing. So, the housekeeper took the lead and walked through the courtyard and walked towards the family warehouse. Lu Chuan and Lu Xiaonayu followed closely behind. Lu Xiaonayu looked back at everyone while walking, revealing a smug smile. These people looked at each other and laughed. They were all very surprised and pleasantly surprised. They didn't expect Lu Chuan to be so prestigious. He strode in, and these people didn't dare to stop him at all. Soon, they came to the warehouse together. Standing in front of the heavy wooden door, the housekeeper took out the key with trembling hands. His lips were trembling. He looked up at Lu Chuan and asked, "Mr. Lu, why should we continue to fight? It's useless to talk nonsense to me. You were the first to start. Don't blame me." The housekeeper sighed helplessly. He picked up the key to unlock the door. After several attempts, the key couldn't be inserted into the keyhole. He really couldn't bear it in his heart. He watched the Nangang family's wealth accumulate bit by bit. He didn't want to see it fail and all give wedding clothes to others. But now, he has no choice. If he doesn't do it, he will die. Lu Chuan will not spare him. What's more, they have already arrived in front of the warehouse. There is no turning back. Lu Chuan disliked his delay and directly pushed him away and took the key. Then, Lu Chuan opened the iron lock neatly. After pushing the door in, a golden light flashed out. The warehouse is very spacious, with densely packed and neatly arranged shelves, on which gold bars and gold ingots are neatly placed. There were also treasured jade and ceramic artworks on both sides, and precious elixirs were placed densely. The back wall was full of armor and weapons. This entire warehouse was filled with the most valuable things. When Lu Xiaonayu walked in, he was stunned. It was the first time he saw such a huge wealth, which was beyond his imagination. This is too much. We can't spend so much money in a lifetime. Lu Xiaonayu shouted in shock. The rest of the people in the Lu mansion all had golden eyes and their heartbeats began to speed up. The housekeeper next to him was now full of sorrow and sighed repeatedly. He walked cautiously to Lu Chuan's side and asked, "Mr. Lu, what are you going to do?" "What? Of course we have to move everything away. What else? Do we have nothing to do, so we come here to visit?" After Lu Chuan finished speaking, he turned and looked at everyone in the Lu mansion. "Move all the things here away, leaving nothing behind." "Really? If we move so many things away, nothing will happen, right? Oh my god, this is like a dream. We suddenly became rich. If we just move the things away like this, nothing will happen, right? Oh, just move them. Why do you care so much? This much money is enough for us to have fun for a while." Lu Chuan looked at Lu Xiaonayu and said, "Move all these things back, count the accounts, and then put them into the warehouse. If anyone dares to cause trouble, I will deal with it. This time, I will make the Nangang family bleed heavily and let them learn this lesson." Lu Xiaonayu nodded slightly and then asked very cautiously, "If we do this, the Nangang family will retaliate. What if we can't beat the Nangang family then?" Lu Chuan sneered, "Don't worry, if the Nangang family wants to attack me, I will fight them to the end. After you take the money back, buy a few more mansions, hire more thugs, and do a good job of protection. Nangang Xian will probably be here soon. After everything is settled, it's time for me to fight with Nangang Xian." Lu Xiaonayu looked back at everyone and said, "Did you hear that? Move the things back quickly, and then expand our family's sphere of influence, and enhance our strength. In the future, we will be Lu Chuan's backing. We have to fight the Nangang family. Boss, the Nangang family is strong. Can we defeat them?" Lu Xiaonayu immediately scolded, "Nonsense. Everyone knows that the Nangang family is strong, but if we don't step on them, how can we climb to the top? This is the last chance. We must seize it and not let Lu Chuan down. Everyone speed up and work. This time we will earn back our dignity. Encouraged by Lu Xianyu, they all got motivated, stuffed the gold in the warehouse into sacks, and started moving them. Chapter 862 Supporting Forces. The Nangang family's wealth stunned the people in the Lu mansion. It was the first time they had seen such an amazing storage of wealth in their lives. Compared with their simple Lu mansion, the difference was dozens of times greater. They all took a deep breath and began to work hard to move everything here. Lu Xianyu glanced at everything in the warehouse and couldn't help but sigh. The Nangang family has monopolized all the business in B City. I didn't expect them to make so much money. It's amazing. They are worthy of being the first noble family in B City. Their financial resources and strength should not be underestimated. Lu Chuan just smiled faintly. These riches will soon be a thing of the past for the Nangang family. You can move these riches back and use them, but you must remember where these things came from. Lu Xianyu hurriedly looked at Lu Chuan, clasped his hands together and bowed slightly, and said, "Of course I know that it is with your help that we have gained so much wealth. From now on, you are the one in power in this Lu mansion. As for Lu Fusheng, we will no longer care about him. He has never been good to us, so we naturally don't have to be loyal to him anymore." Lu Xianyu looked up, stared at Lu Chuan, and said seriously, "You are the son of Lu Kangsheng. I believe that you can completely reverse the current situation of the Lu family." Lu Chuan put his hands behind his back and looked at Lu Xianyu with a smile. "Do you really think that I can destroy Lu Fusheng and change the Lu family in the future?" "Of course, I think so from the bottom of my heart. If it were anyone else, I would think he was crazy, but you are Lu Kangsheng's son. I absolutely trust you," he said very sincerely, expressing his inner thoughts completely. Lu Chuan turned and walked towards the door of the warehouse. "Let them continue to move. Let's go back first." Lu Xianyu followed Lu Chuan out of the warehouse and the two left Nangang mansion. The first group of people from the Lu mansion who were moving gold had also come out at this moment. They worked hard to move things. Although it was very laborious, they were very excited and worked hard to drag these things away. Lu Chuan and Lu Xianyu returned to the Lu mansion. Lu Xianyu called a few more servants and drove the carriage directly to the door of Nangang mansion and began to transport wealth in batches. Back in the meeting hall of the Lu mansion, Lu Chuan sat in the main seat and Lu Xianyu stood aside very consciously. "Lu Xianyu, move all the things here as soon as possible. Don't delay too long. Go to the city center tomorrow and buy a few good houses. Don't live here anymore." After Lu Chuan finished speaking, Lu Xianyu nodded with a smile. "No problem, whatever you say." Lu Chuan took a sip of the tea beside him and continued, "Tomorrow, Nangang Shan should be here. By then, I have to be prepared to fight him. Once we pass that level, the rest will be easy." When Lu Xianyu heard Nangang Shan's name, his brows immediately frowned. "Nangang Shan? He is the patriarch of the Nangang family. I heard that his strength has long broken through the martial saint realm. Now no one can guess his specific strength. Lu Chuan, are you sure you can defeat him?" Lu Chuan nodded slightly and said confidently, "Of course I'm sure. I also broke through to the martial saint realm some time ago. It's not that I can't beat him." Lu Xianyu looked at Lu Chuan and couldn't help but sigh. "You have broken through to the martial saint realm at such a young age. You can't be underestimated in the future. You are definitely a talent with great ambitions." Hearing his praise, Lu Chuan just smiled lightly and continued, "The two important figures of their Nangang family are in my hands. Even if Nangang Shan is too strong, he can't do anything to me. That's good. As long as Nangang Lingaya and Nangang Teng are still in our hands, we don't have to be afraid of that guy at all. If he is too arrogant, we can kill one of them first to teach him a lesson." Lu Chuan looked at Lu Xianyu and said, "You continue to handle the things here. After getting the wealth of the Nangang family, expand the family's strength and enhance its influence in B City so that we can completely control B City in the future." Lu Xianyu hurriedly bowed respectfully and said sincerely, "Don't worry, leave this matter to me. I will rely on these resources to expand the power of your Lu family." Lu Chuan nodded with satisfaction and walked out immediately. After sending Lu Chuan away, Lu Xianyu laughed excitedly, with an unstoppable smile on his face. At this time, a petite figure walked in. "Husband, why are you laughing?" The woman was wearing a white corset dress and looked at Lu Xiaonan curiously after coming in. "My wife, our Lu family is going to rise. In the future, the entire B city will be our world. What are you crazy about? Are you brain damaged?" She looked at Lu Xiaonan with curiosity. "No. It's Lu Kangsheng. His son is back." "Lu Kangsheng's son? I haven't heard of Lu Kangsheng for decades. He actually has a son, and he came here? Did you see him?" "Of course, he is different now. He wants to overthrow the Lu family in Kunlun domain. I believe he can do it. This time, I want to take a gamble and start by ruling B city. We must let Lu Fushan know that the master of this Lu mansion is not him." Lu Xiaonan laughed. He had been suppressed in this shabby place for decades, and it was finally his turn to rise. His wife shook her head helplessly. She had to follow her husband's footsteps to intervene in the family affairs. However, she was also curious about what the current situation of Lu Kangsheng's son was. At the same time, Lu Chuan returned to Dongfang Mansion. After entering the mansion, Lu Chuan saw Dongfang Cheng in the courtyard. He sat at the stone table, with two servants standing beside him, seeming to report something to him. Lu Chuan walked over and asked, "Did anything happen in the mansion?" Dongfang Cheng looked at Lu Chuan. "You're back. I heard that you robbed all the wealth of the Nangang family." "Of course, I've already torn my face with them. Why should I leave anything for them? Just rob them all. Anyway, the means of making money for a monopoly family like them are not all clean, so it doesn't matter if I take it. The Lu mansion in B city is not in a good situation now. There is a conflict between them and Lu Fusheng, who used to be friends with my father. They can be trusted. I choose to hand the wealth to them for safekeeping first." Dongfang Cheng nodded slightly. "You may not be happy with what I said. What if these people still stand on Lu Fusheng's side after taking the money?" Lu Chuan clenched his fists and said calmly, "Then I will deal with them, like I dealt with the Nangang family. You don't have to worry about this. I will keep an eye on them." Dongfang Cheng looked at a servant behind him and said, "This person just reported to me that Nangang Shan's people are here." Chapter 863 The Arrival of a Powerful Enemy. In the courtyard, Lu Chuan found a chair and sat down. He looked at Dongfang Cheng seriously and asked, "Nangang Shan's people are here? They are quite fast. Where are they?" "It's an advance team. They came here to investigate the situation and report. The real main force is still behind." Lu Chuan smiled and asked again, "A large force? Are there a lot of them coming this time?" Dongfang Cheng sighed, nodded and said, "Yes, there are quite a lot of people coming. After all, this is a big deal. It is natural for them to pay full attention to it. You have captured all the children of others. This is like capturing the lifeblood of their Nangang family. This is undoubtedly a fatal blow to them. It is a huge blow to the lifeblood of their family. So, they first settled their affairs in the city, and then did their best to mobilize all the manpower to deal with this matter." Lu Chuan frowned. This matter seemed to become dangerous. "Has the advance team arrived?" Dongfang Cheng nodded and looked at Lu Chuan seriously. "They have arrived. We must be prepared. Our Dongfang family has also been under a lot of pressure this time. If they succeed in clearing up the matter, they will definitely not let our Dongfang mansion go. Perhaps, we can still feel better relying on the momentum of our family, but it will probably be difficult for you." After thinking carefully, Lu Chuan nodded heavily. "I know. This matter must be handled with caution. Not only are there many people coming, but there are also many strong ones. If it is not handled well, it may fall here." Lu Chuan stared at Dongfang Cheng. "Your task is very simple. Help me control Nangang Teng and Nangang Lingaya. This should not be difficult, right?" Dongfang Cheng patted his chest and said proudly, "This kind of small matter is still no problem for us. Don't worry. Okay, I believe you." At the same time, an advance team came to the city. It was the Nangang family's team. A small team crossed the main road and rode towards the Nangang mansion. At the front of the team, a man rode a horse holding the Nangang family's banner and entered the city with great momentum, attracting the attention and gaze of the people around. There were hundreds of people in the team, and the leader was a strong man wearing black and gold armor. He had two heavy swords hanging on his waist, and his momentum was mighty and powerful. The murderer saw her in his body, shrouded the surroundings through the cold armor. The residents of B City all looked up at the general respectfully. The Nangang family's family army was dispatched. They came here for only one purpose, and everyone in the city knew that it was to deal with Lu Chuan. The team passed through the avenue in a mighty manner. No one dared to stay at all, and they all hid away. Soon, the advance team arrived at the gate of Nangang Mansion. Hearing the news of the arrival of the Nangang family army, the housekeeper in the mansion hurried out. After seeing the general and the Nangang family's banner, he knelt down with a plop and burst into tears. "My lords, you have finally arrived at B City. The villains have committed crimes against our Nangang family. We have been hit so hard that we have no power to fight back. We have suffered heavy losses." He cried bitterly. The general dismounted and took off his helmet, revealing his fierce appearance. This is a standard square face with 3 horizontal scars on it, as if it was scratched by a giant bear. He stared at the housekeeper kneeling on the ground and asked in a cold voice, "Tell me everything about the current situation of the Nangang family, and don't leave anyone alive. It's like this, sir. Please listen to me slowly. That bastard named Lu Chuan first captured Nangang Ting and then Nangang Lingaya. Now he has brought people to loot our warehouse. Not only have we lost 2 backbones, but even our family assets have been emptied. Moreover, he also killed our general manager and a group of core figures of the Legion sect. Now our Nangang family in B City has been beaten without any ability to fight back. If you don't come, that guy will really occupy the magpie's nest and take away everything in our family." He cried and shouted, suddenly remembered something, and asked hurriedly, "By the way, is the master here?" The general said in a deep voice, "He will be here later." "The guy named Lu Chuan you mentioned, is he from the Lu family?" "If he is from the Lu family, it may be a little difficult to deal with." The housekeeper quickly shook his head and said, "Miss Lingaya has collected his information. He is not from the Lu family. On the contrary, he is an enemy of the Lu family. In Kunlun domain, the only family that helps him is the Dongfang family, who is his backer. I know. This guy must be very powerful. Otherwise, he wouldn't be here today. This kid is actually an enemy of the Lu family. This alone proves that he is very extraordinary. But so what? He hasn't seen my Nangang Hu's strength. If he meets me, he will only be killed. Where is he now?" The housekeeper panicked and asked nervously, You are not going to fight him, are you?" "Of course, he is doing evil here. As a military general of the Nangang family, I should kill him. Otherwise, I would be unworthy of my identity. Where is he now?" The housekeeper frowned, thought for a moment, and said helplessly, "It could be the Dongfang mansion or the Lu mansion. He brought people from the Lu mansion to rob us in the afternoon. Now, he should be counting the treasures at the Lu mansion." Nangang Hu sneered, "He is quite courageous. In that case, let me go meet him." The housekeeper asked hurriedly, "Lord Nangang Hu, do you know that Nangang Teng has recently broken through to the Martial Saint realm?" "Really? That's great. He is the future successor of our Nangang family. If he can break through to the Martial Saint realm early, it is not impossible for our Nangang family to make further progress in the future. What I want to say is that he broke through to the Martial Saint realm, but was still no match for Lu Chuan. In fact, he was defeated completely. So, if you want to fight Lu Chuan, you must at least have the strength of the Martial Saint realm." After hearing this, Nangang Hu frowned immediately, raised his hand to touch his chin, and pondered for a long time. "Have you broken through to the Martial Saint realm?" The housekeeper looked up at him and asked cautiously. Nangang Hu pursed his lips and said helplessly, "I'm now at the peak of the Martial Emperor realm, and there is still a long way to go before I can reach the Martial Saint realm. If that's the case, then I'm afraid that this Lu Chuan can only be dealt with after the master of the family arrives." He touched his forehead, looking a little embarrassed and helpless. He just made a harsh statement, and now he has to back down, which is really embarrassing. But there is no other way. For a Martial Emperor realm, to deal with someone with the strength of the Martial Saint realm is basically like sending himself to death. Chapter 864 Nangang Family Advanced Team. Nangang Hu sighed helplessly and walked towards the gate of Nangang Mansion. "Everyone, go in and have a rest for a night. You have worked hard all day. Nangang, who gave up the idea of going to Luchuan to settle accounts and went into Nangang Mansion first. The soldiers of the advance team entered Nangang Mansion one after another. Seeing these soldiers of the Nangang family coming here, the housekeeper felt a lot more secure. You go out and report the news. Write down the situation here in a letter and pass it all to the master of the family. Nangang, who assigned the civil servants in the team to take care of this matter. After he said yes, sir, he began to collect the situation here. After drafting the letter, he rode out of the city with the letter. Nangang, who sat in the courtyard, and the soldiers around him took off their armor and prepared to eat dinner. I have arranged for the people in the kitchen to cook. Everyone, wait a moment and you will enjoy the exquisite food, the housekeeper said with a smile. The master of the family was going to bring people to help them get revenge. How could he not be happy? The housekeeper looked at Nangang and asked cautiously, sir, when will the master of the family arrive in B City? It is expected to be tomorrow morning. After a good night's sleep tonight, the owner of B City will still be our Nangang family. Don't worry too much. All our core members are out this time. If we can't kill this guy, there is no need for our Nangang family to exist in Kunlun domain. The housekeeper nodded repeatedly and let out a long breath, seeming to be relieved. That's good. The humiliating days of our Nangang family are finally coming to an end. We must kill that bastard, otherwise we will never have peace. Nangang laughed. Don't worry, we will definitely kill him. Killing him is also a big favor to the Lu family. It will please them, and maybe we can cooperate on some things. Soon, the food was served. In the spacious yard, more than a dozen tables were set up, and the tables were filled with food. A group of soldiers took their seats first, and began to enjoy dinner. Everyone, have a good meal today. We will start fighting tomorrow. This time, our opponent is not weak, but we are not easy to mess with. Tomorrow, let us show the strength of our team. Nangang stood up and raised his glass and drank it all after he finished speaking. At this moment, a figure suddenly ran over. It's bad, old housekeeper. Someone is coming outside. That Luchuan. He is coming. The servant who ran over hurriedly looked at the housekeeper with horror. The housekeeper heard the joy in his heart and became sad again. What did you say? Luchuan is here? What is he doing here at this time? I don't know. He came here alone. I don't know what he is going to do. What should we do? The housekeeper's face became solemn, and he said in a concentrated voice, this guy is obviously eyeing our reinforcement at this time. He turned around and looked at Nangang. My lord, you also heard that Luchuan is coming to visit our Nangang family. I don't know his intention for the time being. How should we deal with it? At this time, Nangang couldn't help but feel nervous. He knew the gap between himself and the martial saints. If they started fighting, he would definitely not be their opponent. But in the current situation, he couldn't lose face for the Nangang family, so he took a deep breath. Let me go see him. He should be looking for me if he comes here at this time. At the entrance of Nangang Mansion, Luchuan had already walked to the gate and looked at the guards in front of the gate. When the guards saw Luchuan, they were all trembling with nervousness, as if they had seen the king of hell. Luchuan strode in, and the guards next to him didn't even dare to stop him. After entering the courtyard of Nangang Mansion, he saw a lively scene here. The spacious courtyard was full of people. When everyone saw Luchuan's figure appear, the noisy voices instantly quieted down. Nangang turned his head to look at Luchuan, and immediately stared at him with his eyes and frowned. Are you Luchuan? He asked with great momentum. Luchuan nodded slightly. I'm Luchuan. I heard that you are here as the advance team to investigate the situation. I also plan to come here to investigate some information from you. Nangang was stunned. He came here to investigate intelligence and report to Nangang Shan, who had not come yet. But he never expected that he himself would become the target of Luchuan's intelligence investigation. He swallowed nervously. He already knew what would happen if he did not cooperate. Everyone here is my people. You can say and do anything. Be careful in the end. 2 fists cannot beat 4 hands. You have to pay attention. Nangang reminded. After hearing this, Luchuan couldn't help laughing. Your threat is really a bit weak. Do you think you can threaten me like this? Nangang Hu put his hands on the heavy sword at his waist, ready to take action. The butler next to him saw that the situation was not good and hurried out to make peace. We can talk about anything in a good way. Don't rush into action. Lu Chuan is here to chat with us. Just chat casually. We are all friends, he said with a smile, obviously reminding Nangang Hu that he was allowed to talk casually and not to reveal the real information. Just fool around. Nangang Hu understood what the butler meant, and his hands dropped down again. He looked at Lu Chuan, his face still very solemn. Lu Chuan, what do you want to ask? Just ask. I will try my best to answer, and if I can't answer, please bear with me. Lu Chuan walked slowly towards him, and every step he took made his heart tremble. If I ask directly, you may not tell the truth, so I'd better use this to ask you. After Lu Chuan finished speaking, he pulled out the soul-breaking sword from behind. Seeing this, Nangang Hu immediately clenched his teeth, put his hands on the hilt, and prepared for battle. You're not going to give up, are you? Our Nangang family is not easy to mess with. When the head of the family comes here, it will be your doom. Lu Chuan ignored his words and walked towards him quickly. Okay. Then come and fight. Let me see what you are capable of. Soldiers, listen up and prepare for battle. Swish. Hundreds of people behind him immediately stood up, all drew their weapons, and prepared to fight Lu Chuan. Lu Chuan smiled confidently, and then gathered the sun god fire in his left hand. He held the sword in one hand and the fire in the other hand, and the two merged into one, and the flaming sword body appeared. The blazing sword body made everyone nervous. They were more than 10 meters away, but they still felt the terrifying high temperature on the sword body. This flame was obviously very unusual. Go to hell. Lu Chuan swung the soul-breaking sword with all his strength, and a fierce flaming sword energy spread out and attacked the crowd. Facing such a fierce sword energy, Nangang Hu was scared silly at this moment. He had fought for the Nangang family for many years and had defeated countless families, but this kind of scene was the first time he had seen it in his life. Nangang Hu, who was used to big scenes, had no idea how to deal with it at this moment. Chapter 865. Kill them all. The fiery sword energy released by Lu Chuan came all over. Nangang Hu did not dare to hesitate too much and rushed to the pool next to him. With a plop, he jumped into the pool. Then, the fiery sword energy exploded in the crowd. Boom. The raging flames instantly enveloped everyone. For a moment, more than half of the hundreds of people turned into firemen. Amid the screams, they struggled and fled frantically, and gradually lost their voices one by one. Nangang Hu, who jumped into the pool, escaped by luck. He raised his upper body from the pool and gasped for breath. He was in such a miserable state now, which was really unprecedented. He did not expect that he would be beaten up by a young man at his doorstep in Nangang Mansion, and he was beaten so hard that he did not even have the strength to fight back. Such humiliation is simply unbearable. He stood up, shook off the water droplets on his body, looked at Lu Chuan, and shouted loudly, "Lu Chuan, you are too much. You attacked our Nangang Mansion, kidnapped our daughter and young master, and now you don't even let us go. You are so arrogant. What awaits you next is only death." He shouted loudly, his tone full of anger. Lu Chuan couldn't help but sneer. "You also have the nerve to say such words. I have no grudges against your Nangang family. Didn't you provoke me first? I have nothing to do, and I want to kill you all? This is all your own fault, and you can't blame others. You are stubborn and unwilling to compromise and hand over the people. Then I will beat you until you surrender. What a shitty Nangang family. If you provoke me, Lu Chuan, the end is one word. That is death." Lu Chuan shouted loudly. Hearing this, Nangang Hu's face was overcast, and his eyes became nervous when he looked at Lu Chuan. He looked back at his subordinates, who were burned to charcoal, which made him heartbroken. He took a deep breath. "Today, I will fight you to the end, and I will not live up to the reputation of the Tiger General of the Nangang family." He held the heavy sword at his waist with both hands, and rushed towards Lu Chuan. This last dying struggle was nothing but futile in Lu Chuan's eyes. Lu Chuan raised his sword, and swung it out, and a sharp sword energy suddenly shot out, and shot towards Nangang Hu. Swish! The sword energy attacked, and its speed made Nangang Hu completely unable to react. Before he could raise his heavy sword to block in front of him, He was hit directly by the sword energy. At the moment of the hit, his heavy breastplate began to crack. And he was also pushed back several steps by this powerful sword energy. He looked down at the cracks in the breastplate, and sweat suddenly covered his head, which made him panic. The gap in strength between the martial emperor realm and the martial saint realm is really not a little bit big. He looked up at Lu Chuan, his eyes full of fear, and even he had met his future master. You will definitely avenge me. Nangang Shan's strength is known to everyone. You can't be his opponent. Nangang Hu roared angrily, and then rushed towards Lu Chuan quickly. At this moment, he had no way out. Lu Chuan forced him into a desperate situation. Lu Chuan tightly grasped the soul-breaking sword, raised the sword body, and pointed it in the direction of Nangang Hu. Swish. The next moment, Lu Chuan used the martial arts extreme shadow flash, and the whole person quickly stabbed forward. In an instant, Lu Chuan's figure passed through Nangang Hu, and came behind him. Puff. Then, a blood hole as thick as a wrist appeared on Nangang Hu's chest, and blood gushed out of it. Nangang Hu fell to the ground with a plop. Blood kept coming out of his mouth, and the whole person was in a dying state. Lu Chuan squatted beside him, raised his hand to condense the Nine Heavens mysterious fire, and injected it into his body. This weak Nine Heavens mysterious fire only maintained his life, and prevented him from dying. Lu Chuan asked, "Now, I want to know how many people Nangang Shan brought with him this time, and what is his specific strength? And what is the strength of Nangang Qianying? Tell me everything you know, otherwise, I will make you suffer so much, that you would rather die than live." Nangang Hu looked up at Lu Chuan, the blood in his mouth barely stopped, his voice was extremely weak. After coughing twice, he said, "Don't worry, I won't say anything. It seems that you are very loyal to the family?" Nangang Hu nodded. "Yes, I'm a member of the Nangang family in life and a ghost of the Nangang family in death. You can kill me, or cut me up as you like. I'm too lazy to say anything more." He looked very determined, as if he really wanted to devote himself to the Nangang family until his death. Lu Chuan shook his head helplessly. "It seems that you still underestimated my means. In this case, how about I'll let you suffer a little?" Lu Chuan used the Nine Heavens mysterious fire to heal the wounds on Nangang Hu's body. Nangang Hu, lying on the ground, felt the pain in his body healed. He immediately looked at Lu Chuan in confusion. "What are you going to do?" Lu Chuan stretched out his hands. One hand was the sun god fire, and the other hand was the Nine Heavens mysterious fire. Seeing these two strange flames, Nangang Hu felt very uneasy. He looked at Lu Chuan nervously, and asked again in panic, "What are you going to do to me? Why are the wounds on my body gone?" Lu Chuan pressed the sun god fire on his left arm, and then the flame spread up, and covered his entire left arm. Nangang Hu screamed loudly in the blazing fire. But then, the Nine Heavens mysterious fire poured into it, constantly healing his flesh and blood. The constant burning and destruction, the constant healing and repair, the continuous pain, like a perpetual motion machine of torture, made Nangang Hu fall into the abyss of pain. He raised his head and screamed loudly, and the screams echoed in the house, making people shudder. After screaming for nearly a minute, Nangang Hu finally ran out of strength. He lay on the ground, his eyes wide open in fear, staring at the sky. He clenched his teeth, and would not let go until the last moment. Until his back teeth were about to break, he finally couldn't hold on. He didn't know where Lu Chuan got the healing method. He only knew, now that as long as Lu Chuan didn't want him to, he would not die. Relying on this healing method, Lu Chuan could keep Nangang Hu alive and torture him all the time. Finally, Nangang Hu couldn't hold on any longer. He quickly used up his last bit of strength and shouted, spare me. If you cooperate with me, I will spare you." Lu Chuan said calmly, I will cooperate with you. Don't continue. I can't bear it." He completely surrendered. Lu Chuan didn't need too many methods. Just two balls of fire together were enough to torture this guy. "Now, tell me everything you know." Nangang Hu gasped for breath, gradually recovering from the severe pain. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 866 Obtaining Intelligence. Nangang Hu looked up at Lu Chuan and said helplessly, Nangang Shan brought almost all the core forces of the Nangang family this time. You have to know that the people you arrested are the two most important characters in the Nangang family. Basically, the future of the Nangang family will be handed over to them. If you catch them, you will catch the lifeline of the Nangang family. Now, they will do their best to deal with you. Nangang Shan's strength is the third level of the martial saint realm, an absolutely top level powerhouse. You should know how difficult it is to break through the first level of the martial saint realm. Hard work, sweat, opportunity, and resources are all indispensable. Even so, it is still difficult to break through the realm. Therefore, a first level martial saint realm can never be the opponent of a third level martial saint realm. This is not as simple as a gap of two small realms. In addition, he also brought his personal bodyguard named Nangang Zan, who is an experienced swordsman with the strength of the first level of the martial saint realm. You should have an idea in your mind. Two powerful warriors of the martial saint realm have arrived together. Now the Nangang family in Cheyenne City is weak and has put all its focus here. If we still fail this time, then we can completely declare that our Nangang family is going to be destroyed. However, it is somewhat unexpected that the once arrogant Nangang family finally perished in the hands of a young man. Lu Chuan looked at him and nodded with satisfaction. That's about right. Is there anything else you want to tell me? By the way, is Nangang Qianying of your Nangang family here this time? Lu Chuan asked again. Nangang Hu shook his head helplessly. He has been in seclusion recently and hasn't seen anyone, and the person you are looking for, Li Zunying, has already been sent to him. Hearing this, Lu Chuan couldn't help but clenched his fists and said coldly, if he dies, I will let everyone in your family be buried with him. Is that Li Zunying really that important to you? Lu Chuan grabbed the edge of his breastplate, pulled him up, and said seriously, if I can't even protect my men, no matter how big my empire is in Kunlun territory in the future, no one will truly follow me. Your Nangang family will pay a heavy price this time, and I will not forgive you. Lu Chuan said sternly. Hearing this, Nangang Hu sighed. Lu Chuan, you have made too many enemies. Sooner or later, you will kill yourself. People like you either break through the siege and control everything, or you will be besieged to death. As time goes by, no one will remember that you have been here. Lu Chuan threw him to the ground again. You don't need to care about my affairs. You should consider your own safety first. I have said everything I should say. What else do you want to do? Give me a way out. He looked at Lu Chuan pleadingly. He had just experienced such severe torture that he no longer wanted to die, but instead developed a desire to live. Lu Chuan raised his foot and stepped on his chest, disdainfully saying, you are not qualified to live. Then, Lu Chuan stabbed with a sword, piercing Nangang Hu's body. This time, he did not have the continuous healing of the Nine Heavens' mysterious fire, and his life completely came to an end. Lu Chuan stood up and looked around, looking for survivors here. He saw the figure of the housekeeper in the crowd. This guy was extremely dishonest, so Lu Chuan naturally didn't intend to let him go. At this time, he was hiding behind a stone, trembling all over, and didn't dare to look up at Lu Chuan's figure. However, Lu Chuan had already come to him. Get out! Lu Chuan shouted angrily, making the housekeeper dare not hide any longer. He curled up and walked out tremblingly, lowering his head, not daring to look at Lu Chuan. I think you are also a loyal dog of the Nangang family. In this case, let's kill you together. Lu Chuan walked towards him quickly. The housekeeper was immediately panicked and hurriedly raised his hands to block in front of him, begging for mercy. Lord Lu, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me. I'm just a servant in the Nangang family. Killing me is useless, and it will dirty your hands, so forget it. He begged bitterly, hoping that Lu Chuan would show mercy. However, Lu Chuan would never forgive this bastard again, and he must kill him today. Lu Chuan would never feel at ease if he didn't eliminate any member of the Nangang family. Lu Chuan drew out the soul-breaking sword and stabbed at the housekeeper. Before the housekeeper could dodge, he was pierced through the chest by the sword and died on the spot. Lu Chuan took back the soul-breaking sword and wiped the blood off the sword with a handkerchief. At this moment, the courtyard of Nangang Mansion was already littered with corpses, and the air was filled with a pungent smell of burning. Lu Chuan put away the soul-breaking sword and turned to leave Nangang Mansion. The Nangang Mansion in B City was basically declared dead. All family members disappeared, the wealth in the mansion was looted, and everything was destroyed. The power of the Nangang family in B City has come to an end, and B City, which was previously dominated by the Nangang family, will no longer exist. After walking out of the gate of Nangang Mansion, Lu Chuan adjusted the corners of his clothes and collar, and returned to Dongfang Mansion along the street. There were no pedestrians on the street, and they were all scared away by the screams in Nangang Mansion. Only some brave children dared to hide in the corner and secretly watched Lu Chuan's figure. Lu Chuan hurried back to the Dongfang Mansion. Dongfang Cheng came out to greet him warmly. Lu Chuan, how is the situation? Is it difficult to clean up the advance team? Lu Chuan smiled calmly. If it is difficult to clean up even our advance team, how can I fight against the power of the Nangang family? That's right. Did you ask for any important information? Lu Chuan nodded slightly and then continued. That guy said a lot. Nangang Shian's strength is indeed the third level of the martial saint realm. He is very strong and should not be underestimated. He also brought his own standing guard, who is the first level of the martial saint realm, named Nangang Zan. Also, Nangang Qianying is not in the team. The most important point is that they didn't bring Li Zunying this time. He is with Nangang Qianying. Dongfang Cheng heard this and frowned. They came here without Li Zunying. Isn't it clear that they don't intend to reconcile? They are going to fight us with real swords and guns. Dongfang Cheng said with a worried face. After hearing what Lu Chuan said, he could feel that the Nangang family's troops were indeed strong. If they were not taken seriously, they might face a disaster. If we really compete in strength, we are indeed at a disadvantage. But we have bargaining chips in our hands, which is enough. We still have room for negotiation. As long as Nangang Teng and Nangang Lingai are still there, we have room to maneuver. I need to find an opportunity to fight Nangang Shian alone. As long as I kill him, victory will belong to us. Chapter 867, Enemy at the Gate. Lu Chuan's words were shocking, and Dongfang Cheng was frightened by them. Are you confident that you can kill Nangang Shian in a duel? Lu Chuan nodded heavily and said seriously, I'm sure of this. As long as I'm given a chance to fight him in a duel. However, if he brings his family army to attack, it will be very difficult to fight him. But, Nangang Shian is a martial saint of the third rank. The difference in strength is not ordinary. Dongfang Cheng still looked at Lu Chuan in confusion, not knowing what means Lu Chuan was going to use to deal with the enemy. In a normal hard power confrontation, Lu Chuan is definitely not an opponent. Crossing two realms, this is not something that can be easily made up. Lu Chuan's eyes were on the hilt of the sword behind him. His hope was naturally the sword, releasing the soul dust in the sword body, which would cause a fatal and terrifying blow to the enemy. Unfortunately, this would consume the soul dust stored in it. It is not easy to collect soul dust, and collecting hundreds of them is absolutely difficult. If it weren't for Senior Zioyo Taoist who helped him accumulate hundreds of soul fragments, I don't know how long it would take for him to accumulate to this point. Lu Chuan patted Dongfang Cheng on the shoulder. Keep an eye on these two people, and don't let them escape. Don't worry, I'm here. I will definitely keep a close eye on them, and no accidents will happen. I will help you to destroy the Nangang family. Absolutely. Dongfang Cheng said in a firm tone. Lu Chuan nodded with satisfaction. Okay, I believe you can do it. I have other things to do, so I'll leave first. No problem, I will manage this place. After Lu Chuan said goodbye to Dongfang Cheng, he set off for the location of Lu Mansion. Lu Mansion is a little far from the city center, and Lu Chuan needs to spend some time to return to Lu Mansion. When he arrived at Lu Mansion, it was already dark. Lu Chuan came to Lu Mansion and saw a big banquet in the courtyard. Everyone in Lu Mansion came out to drink and eat lively. After Lu Chuan walked in, Lu Xianyu hurried over. Lu Chuan, you are here. We are preparing to celebrate tonight. You are finally here. You will be the new owner of this place in the future. You have to come. Lu Chuan walked towards the crowd. Everyone stopped making noise and turned to look at Lu Chuan. Lu Chuan looked at the group of people, nodded slightly, and said, everyone, continue to eat, but it's just for tonight. Take the money tomorrow and expand our power. I'm alone and can't use too much money for the time being. This money will definitely stay here. If you don't use it well, I will not be polite." After speaking, Lu Chuan set his sights on Lu Xianyu. Lu Xianyu nodded nervously. "Don't worry, we will make good use of this huge sum of money to improve our strength as much as possible. I won't let you down. We have finally got the opportunity to see the light, and naturally we will not choose to give up." Lu Chuan patted Lu Xianyu on the shoulder. "Very good, you guys eat. I'm going to rest early. Tomorrow, I will face a big enemy." Lu Xianyu asked hurriedly, "Is Nangang Shan coming?" "Of course, his children have been kidnapped. If he doesn't come, is he still a man? He will definitely be here tomorrow. As for what will happen next, it's hard to say. Anyway, I should be prepared to deal with the invading enemy this time." Lu Chuan turned and walked towards a house that had just been cleaned up. Lu Xianyu looked at Lu Chuan's back and suddenly felt mixed emotions. He turned around and looked at everyone in the mansion and had no choice but to say helplessly, "Everyone, enjoy this banquet. I hope you know who helped us to have this sumptuous meal. Master, this is all Lu Chuan's credit. We all know it in our hearts. Master, Lu Chuan is the enemy of the Lu family. If we do this, aren't we betraying the Lu family? Eat yours. Stop talking nonsense. Are you willing to rot in this broken yard for the rest of your life? Who doesn't want to live in this world in a carefree and glorious way? If Lu Fashion doesn't give us this opportunity and doesn't help us, then we can only fight for it ourselves. Eat well and go to bed early. Tomorrow morning, we will set off immediately and start to expand our power." Lu Chuan has returned to his room and fallen asleep. On a grassland north of B City, a team of thousands of people set up camp and occupied a large area of land. The camp was surrounded by guards, patrolling everywhere. Soon, a figure on horseback rushed over here on the open grassland. When he arrived near the camp, the man got off his horse and ran over in a hurry. Seeing this, the camp guards hurriedly went to meet him. "You are so anxious. Did you encounter something big?" I'm a soldier under General Nangang Hu. We just arrived at Nangang Mansion and met the villain Lu Chuan. He broke into our Nangang Mansion and burned all our advanced team members to death. Then, he killed Lord Nangang Hu. The means were cruel and outrageous. If this person doesn't come out, it will be difficult to vent his anger. Quick, report this to the master of the family." The guard supported the messenger and walked quickly towards the center of the camp. Entering the tent, the messenger told everything that happened in the city. Sitting in the main seat was a middle-aged man in a purple robe. He had a mustache, his eyes were slightly narrowed, and he exuded an imperceptible murderous aura. "You said, that bastard named Lu Chuan killed my people." "That's right, that guy is brutal. He is simply the enemy of our family." Nangang Shan sneered. "He is the first one who dares to provoke our Nangang family like this. It's really interesting. In that case, let me meet him. Let me see how strong he is. Tell me again, did Nangang Hu say anything before he died?" The messenger lowered his head hurriedly, hesitated for a moment, and said helplessly, "Lord Nangang Hu did say a lot of things. He was forced to do so." A person sitting next to Nangang Shan angrily slammed the armrest of the chair, smashing the mahogany armrest to pieces. "What did that bastard say? Tell me, did he reveal everything?" Nangang Shan interrupted him quickly. "Nangang-san, why are you in such a hurry? So what if he knows? We are going there this time to kill him completely. No matter how much information he has, or how many means he has, he can't reverse the situation. Next, we only need to guarantee one thing, and that is to ensure the safety of Lingaya and Tenja. As long as we can ensure this, killing Lu Chuan will be a piece of cake." Nangang Shan said with great confidence, his eyes full of contempt. Chapter 868, Catching a Turtle in a Jar. The next morning, in B City, a figure rode out of the city in a hurry. After leaving B City from the north gate, he walked all the way and soon saw the tents of the Nangang family. He rode over quickly. Soon, he entered the middle of the tents. The curtain opened, and he walked slowly into it. Nangang Shan was eating breakfast leisurely. When he saw the person coming, he smiled disapprovingly. "You came out so early, have you eaten?" He looked at the man and asked. "I received your message and rushed out immediately. When I came out, I was eating breakfast." I stopped everything I was doing and rushed over immediately. Brother Shan, if you have any instructions, just tell me. I will do my best to complete it. Nangang Shan nodded slightly, smiled and pointed to the chair next to him, and said, sit down first and talk slowly. The man sat down obediently. You are the mayor of B City. This is your territory. Shouldn't you be responsible for what happened here? He hurriedly lowered his head and said in fear and trepidation, you are absolutely right. It is indeed me who should be responsible, but what happened in the city was an accident, and the invading enemy is quite powerful. I'm afraid that, if I get involved, I will be dealt with as well. Zuzhi, your position as the mayor should be known by you. You'd better be grateful, otherwise, I will not forgive you. The man named Zuzhi hurriedly lowered his head. Of course I know that I can have what I have today thanks to the help of Lord Nangang Shan. Without your help, I would not be where I'm today. I'm extremely grateful in my heart. You know that from now on, I will have absolutely no complaints about what you ask me to do. Even if you ask me to go through fire and water, I will do it. He said extremely nervously, fearing that he would be punished by Nangang Shan. He also knew the seriousness of the matter. Nangang Shan's favorite children were kidnapped. As the mayor of B City, he was definitely not unrelated to this incident. But he was also very bitter in his heart. The strength of the enemy was that of martial saint. Even a martial saint from their Nangang family was no match for them. What kind of trouble could he, a martial emperor, cause? Getting involved would only lead to his death. Nangang Shan stood up, walked up to him, put his hands on his shoulders, and pinned him down on the chair, unable to move. Now, I want you to do something for me. Zuzhi was extremely nervous and nodded hurriedly, not daring to hesitate at all. Gather all your troops, go out of the city directly, spread out around the city and surround it. You just need to make sure that the people in the city stop escaping, and I will take care of the rest. As long as you can do this, I will not hold you responsible. Hearing this, Zuzhi nodded hurriedly, as if he had grasped a life-saving straw, and carefully followed Nangang Shan's orders. Nangang Shan showed a smile on his face and patted his shoulders with both hands. Go back and do as I say. Don't let anyone escape from this city. Next, I'm going to catch the turtle in the jar and beat that bastard so that he has nowhere to escape. If you let him get away, I will never forgive you. Zuzhi nodded quickly. No problem, I will do it. You can rest assured to leave this matter to me. Nangang Shan nodded slightly, put his hands behind his back, and continued, that guy is also at the level of martial saint. Although I'm stronger than him by more than a little, if he wants to escape, it will be difficult for me to chase him. So, you must know the importance of this task. You must guard these city gates for me. If you make any trouble again, I will kill you. Hearing the word kill, Zuzhi trembled all over, and he swallowed nervously. Don't worry, I will do this matter properly, without any ambiguity. If that bastard escapes from me, I will definitely apologize with my head raised. I'll go back now, send out heavy troops to guard the place, set up multiple traps, and ensure that not even a fly can fly out. Nangang Shan heard this, and smiled with satisfaction. In that case, you go back and do it. I must kill this guy. He dared to kidnap my daughter and son. He is really looking for death. He is very brave to offend me. Nangang Shan. Then, Zuzhi hurriedly got up and went back to the city. At the same time, Lu Chuan woke up in the Lu mansion. Lu Xianyu waited outside the door for a long time. Last night, almost no one in the Lu mansion could sleep. They all knew that they had offended the Nangang family. Now, it was hard to say whether they would live or die. They almost put all their bets on Lu Chuan. If Lu Chuan lost to his opponent, they would lose their reputation. They are different from the Danfang family. The Danfang family still has a way out and is protected by the huge family power behind them. If they are going to die, no one can save them. After Lu Chuan got up, he opened the door and walked into the courtyard. Lu Xianyu hurried forward and asked hurriedly, Mr. Lu, what should we do next? Nangang Shan is going to enter the city today. How should we deal with it? Lu Chuan scratched his head, sat on the chair next to him, picked up the teacup and drank it. Just leave it to me. Why are you worrying so much? This is a matter of life and death. If we don't care, then, will it work? Lu Xianyu said nervously. Lu Chuan patted his arm and comforted him. Don't be so nervous. I'm sure I can kill Nangangshan, and I will kill that bastard as soon as possible. Otherwise, he has so many people under him, and it will probably take a lot of physical strength to clean them up. Okay, I trust you. Then take your equipment and prepare to fight the enemy. At this time, Dan Fangcheng walked over quickly. Mr. Lu, I have something to ask you. Dan Fangcheng walked over quickly, and everyone in the Lu mansion looked at him curiously. Dan Fangcheng, you came here so early in the morning. Did something happen? Don't tell me that the two of them escaped. Dan Fangcheng shook his head repeatedly. Of course not. How could such a thing happen? It's like this. Let me tell you slowly. He sat next to Lu Chuan, frowned, and said seriously, it's like this. The people of Danfang Mansion are guarding the 4 city gates to collect intelligence. Someone clearly saw that the city lord Zhu Zhi went out early this morning. He didn't bring any weapons with him, and he didn't even put on his clothes. He left the city in such a hurry. Something is not right, Mr. Lu. I think he went to meet Nangangshan. First of all, he went out from the north of the city. This direction is exactly the direction where Nangangshan led his army. Moreover, in the entire B city, there is almost no one who can make Zhu Zhi so frightened. He can only be an outsider. Lu Chuan nodded slightly. No need to analyze. It is obvious that he went out to meet Nangangshan. Chapter 869. Interception. In the courtyard of the Lu mansion, Lu Xiaoyu approached Lu Chuan and asked nervously. They met in a hurry so early in the morning. They should be making some plan. There is a large army invading outside the city, and the city lord is working inside the city to cooperate with both inside and outside. This situation is too unfavorable for us. What should we do? Our current situation is very dangerous. They must be plotting something to completely eliminate us and not give us any chance to escape. Lu Xiaoyu paced back and forth anxiously, feeling extremely nervous. Lu Chuan looked at Dan Fangcheng and continued, I don't think it's that complicated. Nangangshan called him out early in the morning, probably to pave the way for him to enter the city. Otherwise, he could have waited until he entered the city to call Zhu Zhi over. I have 2 guesses. Let me tell you first. Lu Chuan continued. First, Nangangshan called him out and asked him to lead the team to take action first to weaken our strength. When they come, it will be easier to deal with them. This is an inference based on Nangangshan's caution. The second is that he directly asked the city lord to come back and lead people to surround the city. After they enter the city, they can catch the turtle in the jar and prevent the enemy from escaping. He wants to kill in the city to avenge his children. The second is an inference based on his arrogance. He is confident that he can kill me as long as I can't escape. After listening to this, Dan Fangcheng frowned and thought seriously. Both situations are possible, so how should we deal with it? Lu Chuan laughed. What to deal with? Just go find Zhu Zhi and kill him. He should be on his way back now, right? He doesn't need to follow Nangangshan all the way into the city. What do you mean? Lu Chuan stood up. Go to the north of the city now, intercept Zhu Zhi, and kill him directly. Dan Fangcheng nodded quickly. No problem. Then we will go out now. Lu Xiaoyu looked at the 2 people and asked curiously, are we going to fight them now? The city lord Zhu Zhi is also a figure. It's not good to kill him casually, right? Lu Chuan patted his shoulder and said, continue to manage the affairs of the mansion. Some things are not your concern. Lu Chuan turned around and left here. Lu Xiaoyu looked at the figures of Lu Chuan and Dan Fangcheng and suddenly felt anxious. Lu Chuan, I put everything on you. Whether I should follow you depends on this disaster. At the gate of Lu Mansion, Lu Chuan rode on his horse and quickly rushed towards the north of the city. The 2 rode together without stopping on the road. When they were on the main road near the city gate, they dismounted, tied the horses in the alley, and returned to the main road. Because it was early in the morning and the city gate was in a remote location, there were few pedestrians here and almost no pedestrians. Lu Chuan stood in the middle of the road, with his hands folded in front of him, waiting calmly. A figure slowly came in at the city gate more than 100 meters ahead. After riding in, the man sped up. Soon, Zhu Zhi saw Lu Chuan's figure on the road ahead. He narrowed his eyes and stared at Lu Chuan's figure in front of him. When he recognized that it was Lu Chuan, his eyes widened immediately. He pulled the reins hard, pulled the horse's upper body up, and made bursts of neighing sounds. He stared at Lu Chuan's figure and swallowed nervously. He rode slowly forward, knowing that he could not escape this time. He did not expect that Lu Chuan would actually wait for him here. He rode slowly to Lu Chuan's front. Lu Chuan looked at him and said, "You are quite sensible. Get off the horse now." Zhu Zhi took a deep breath, then turned over and got off the horse, threw down the reins, and walked slowly towards Lu Chuan. His steps were very heavy, and his head was slightly lowered, as if he didn't want to face reality. He came to Lu Chuan and said, "This is the first time we meet, right? Ever since you came to B City, I have fallen asleep hearing your name day and night. Now in B City, your reputation is well known and everyone knows it. What are you going to do by stopping me now?" Lu Chuan smiled and said, "Don't be nervous. I just want to ask, what did you do when you went out of the city?" "I didn't do anything. A distant relative came, and I went out to receive him." "Where are the relatives?" "He found that he left his things at the post station and went back." Lu Chuan laughed disdainfully. "Such a low-level lie, using it to fool me. Is it an insult to me?" Zhu Zhi laughed awkwardly, raised his hands, and said innocently, "I'm just trying it casually. Don't take it to heart. There are more and more big guys gathering in B City, and I, the city lord of the martial emperor realm, can't play any key role." Lu Chuan shook his head slightly. "You can't say that. As the city lord, you still have a big role. Otherwise, Nangang Shai and I would not call you out." "Haha, what on earth do you want to see me for? You provoked Nangang Shan, and your fate is already sealed." Zhu Zhi continued, "Why don't I give you a chance now? You leave B City from the city gate behind me now. Then, you can escape. The Nangang family will definitely not catch up with you. After all, they have to rescue their own people first. This is your last chance. If you cherish it, you still have a chance to survive. Lu Chuan, you have to be cautious. This is a matter of life and death for you. Let me tell you directly. Nangang Shian called me out for a very simple purpose, which is to let me surround this B City, to prevent you from escaping. Now you escaped directly, and I will say that you received a message in advance, so you ran away directly. At that time, both you and I will escape safely without any danger. You can escape anywhere. They will never catch up with you." He looked at Lu Chuan very seriously. Obviously, he intended to persuade Lu Chuan to give up. In this way, he would have a way to survive. Otherwise, he would definitely die in Lu Chuan's hands. Lu Chuan laughed disdainfully. "You can say that. It seems that you have a strong desire to survive. That bastard really asked you to surround this city. Since you are his tool, there is no need for me to spare you." Lu Chuan drew out the soul-breaking sword. Seeing that the situation was not good, Zhu Zhi kept backing away, staring at Lu Chuan with serious eyes. "Lu Chuan, you have to think about it. This is your last chance. Do you really think that you can do whatever you want in B City and in front of Nangang Shan? You face the reality." Lu Chuan walked towards him with a sword. Seeing this, Zhu Zhi gritted his teeth, clenched his fists, kept backing away, and kept warning Lu Chuan. Chapter 870 The army leaves the city. Lu Chuan walked towards Zhu Zhi quickly. Zhu Zhi was in a hurry to go out, and he didn't have any weapons or protective gear on him. Now he was unarmed, and he was definitely not Lu Chuan's opponent. Even if he was fully armed, he could not be Lu Chuan's opponent. He was now only left with despair and fear, and his eyes were full of horror when he looked at Lu Chuan. Lu Chuan rushed towards him quickly and swung the soul-breaking sword. In an instant, the sword flashed, and Zhu Zhi's head flew out. Plop. The head fell to the ground. Lu Chuan put away the soul-breaking sword, took out a handkerchief to wipe the bloodstains on the sword. Dan Fangcheng walked forward quickly and walked towards Zhu Zhi's head. "Mr. Lu, let's put this head directly at the gate of the city. When that bastard enters the city, he will be able to see this guy's head as soon as possible and give him a surprise. How about it?" Lu Chuan nodded slightly. "No problem, you go and do it. I'll go and deal with the others." Lu Chuan walked towards the city gate. The soldiers guarding the city gate did not realize the crisis at this moment. Lu Chuan rushed forward with a sword and killed them all in an instant. More than 10 people in the city defense team were all killed by Lu Chuan in less than 10 seconds. Lu Chuan put away his sword and turned to leave. At the gate of the city, a wooden stick was stuck in the ground, and the head of the city Lord Tsundere was stuck on it, and blood flowed down the stick. Now is the time for everyone in the Nangang family to set off. They began to march towards B City. The momentum was huge, like a large army approaching. Lu Chuan returned to the Dongfang mansion and waited quietly for the storm to come. The first thing Lu Chuan did after entering the Dongfang mansion was to walk towards the small dark room. The two key people, Nangang Teng and Nangang Lingaya, are still here, and Lu Chuan wants to confirm their situation. After returning to the mansion, Dongfang Ming pulled Dongfang Cheng aside and asked nervously, "Has the Nangang family's army come in?" "Not yet, but their vanguards are dead." "Who?" "The city lord. Who else could it be?" Dongfang Ming was slightly surprised. "Zuzhi. He's dead. I knew he would definitely work for the Nangang family." At the beginning, his position as city lord was supported by the Nangang family. Because of this, the entire B city is completely controlled by the Nangang family. Now, he deserves to die. He has enjoyed so many benefits and should have died long ago. Dongfang Ming looked up at Dongfang Cheng and continued to ask, "Nangang Xian is coming. Is Lu Chuan confident?" "Don't worry about that. Lu Chuan is confident that he can deal with his opponent. We have the support of the Dongfang family, so you don't have to worry about this. Nothing will happen to us." Dongfang Ming nodded slightly and sighed. "Okay, it's hard to say what the final outcome of B City will be." At this time, Lu Chuan walked into the small dark room. In Nangang Teng's room, he curled up in the corner, not eating, not drinking, and not saying a word, as if he was in a silent confrontation. After Lu Chuan walked in, the iron chain on his body made a sound. "Nangang Teng, your father is coming." "Huolala." Nangang Teng turned around and looked over, and the iron chain on his body made a messy sound. "You are finished," he said very seriously. Lu Chuan smiled. "Don't worry, if I really want to finish, you will be the one buried with me. If you have the ability, kill me now. My father has no distractions. Killing you is like killing a chicken," he said in a firm tone. Lu Chuan shook his head and smiled. "I keep you to let you see your father's head. There is no need to threaten him with you. Your existence is just a bargaining chip to force him to fight me one-on-one. As long as I fight him one-on-one, he will die," Lu Chuan said confidently. He was afraid of the army of the Nangang family, not Nangang Xian alone. As long as he creates an opportunity for a one-on-one duel, Lu Chuan will have a chance. Nangang Teng laughed. "Haha, you're dreaming. You still want to defeat my father one-on-one. It's just wishful thinking," he said with disdain, not thinking that Lu Chuan was Nangang Xian's opponent at all. "Just wait, I will send your father's head soon," Lu Chuan said disapprovingly, and then turned and left. Seeing that Nangang Teng was still safe and sound, he was relieved. Then, he entered Nangang Lingaya's room. She was still fine. Although she didn't eat much, at least her spirit was still okay. When she saw Lu Chuan coming in, she immediately shouted loudly, "Lu Chuan, let me go. I can't even take a shower. Let me go back." Lu Chuan shook his head helplessly. "I have imprisoned you, and you still want such trivial things. What are you doing here? Are you going to kill me, or let me go? Give me a definite answer. I'm going crazy every day here entangled in these things." She looked at Lu Chuan with dissatisfaction. "Letting you go is definitely impossible. Your father has already entered the city. I came to tell you something." "Ha ha ha ha, my father is finally coming. He is too slow. Is it necessary to prepare so much? He alone is enough to defeat you," Lu Chuan said with a smile. "Alas, I thought so too. I also want to fight him one-on-one. I want to take his head." "You are talking nonsense. You are dreaming. You still want to take his head? I think it should be the other way around. You little brat, dare to act wild in front of my father. You will soon know you are wrong. I'm too lazy to talk so much nonsense with you. You continue to wait here. You will soon hear the news of your father's death." Seeing that she was still full of energy, Lu Chuan turned and left. Nangang Lingaya was angry and her face turned red. After Lu Chuan returned to the yard, Dongfang Cheng came over. "Are these two people okay?" Very good, except for Nangang Teng, who is like a stubborn donkey, but everything is okay. Dan Fangcheng nodded slightly. These two people have bad tempers, and they can't change after these few days of grinding. Calculating the time, that old bastard Nangang Shan should also enter the city. How about this? I will send someone to pass the message to Nangang Shan, and ask him to fight you one-on-one. If he doesn't fight, then kill Nangang Teng and Nangang Lingaya. Dan Fangcheng thought about it and added, it's best to kill one and keep one. Lu Chuan patted him on the shoulder. Go and give the order. At this time, in B City, in front of the north gate of the city, Nangang Shan rode a large giant deer and walked at the front of the team. The queue of carriages behind him was endless. He came to the city gate and saw that there was no one at the gate. He frowned immediately. There is no one guarding the city gate. I'm afraid something has gone wrong. He rode the giant deer and slowly entered the city. As soon as he entered the city, he saw corpses everywhere and the smell of blood in the air. Damn it, something went wrong. Nangang Shan sniffed, and his heart began to sink. He continued walking along the road and suddenly saw Zhu Zhi's head stuck on a wooden stick. Suddenly, Nangang Shan's eyes widened, and he held his breath. Zhu Zhi. Dead. Chapter 871 Opportunity for a one-on-one fight. Nangang Shan rode his horse slowly forward and came to Zhu Zhi's head. Behind him, Nangang Zhen also rode his horse and followed. When he saw the head, he was immediately furious. This is clearly a slap in our faces. This bastard is so arrogant. If we don't kill this guy, it would be too embarrassing. Brother, let's just do it. We can't give this guy a chance to escape. If he escapes, it will be difficult to deal with. Nangang Shan frowned, and after thinking for a moment, he said helplessly, let's go back to Nangang Mansion and prepare. The situation is very complicated now. We can't act rashly. Lingaya and Tenja are still in the hands of the enemy. If we act rashly, it will endanger their lives. Nangang Zhen nodded helplessly, that's true. For their safety, we still can't act rashly. In this case, let's go back and prepare a plan. This Lu Chuan, it seems that he doesn't take me seriously at all. In this case, then I will teach him a lesson and let him know how powerful Nangang Shan, am. I must kill this bastard today, which can be regarded as revenge for the Nangang family and also for the Lu family. The crowd entered the city in a mighty manner. Zhu Zhi's head was taken off and buried in a pit. A large team of several thousand people entered the city one after another. Nangang Shan led the way to the Nangang Mansion. Looking at the familiar gate, he sighed. Go in. Nangang Shan led the way into the Nangang Mansion. As a result, he saw a dilapidated and messy scene in the courtyard. The ground was full of charred corpses, and the air was full of the smell of coke. Nangang Shan glanced around and said helplessly, Nangang, whose entire army was wiped out here. That bastard was so arrogant that he broke into our mansion and killed a bunch of our people. This is simply shitting on our necks. I can't tolerate this kind of thing. I must skin this bastard alive. Nangang Shan clenched his fists, his joints crackled, and his anger had nowhere to vent. Boss, we are in a passive position now and can't act rashly, otherwise, that guy will definitely use the young master and the young lady as a threat. How about this? I will go and rescue the two secretly. After rescuing them, we can start to act immediately without any worries. At that time, we can strangle these bastards no matter what. Hearing this, Nangang Shan's tightly locked brows relaxed. Okay, you do it. I'll leave this matter to you. You go and rescue the two of them secretly. If you can rescue them, you will be the #1 hero. If there is no chance, don't anger the enemy and let them hurt my children. Nangang Zhen bowed his hands and bent down and said seriously, I will definitely achieve the goal. Don't worry, I can easily rescue the two of them. You just need to wait for a moment and wait for my good news. Nangang Shan smiled with relief. Your ability, I still recognize it very much. It's not in vain to train you. Nangang Zhen smiled and nodded, then turned and left. He changed into a black tight-fitting outfit, jumped easily, and climbed over the wall, and left Nangang Mansion. Nangang Shan glanced at the yard and shouted loudly, clean this place for me. Then, a group of servants came forward and began to clean the courtyard. At this time, a figure ran in quickly and came to Nangang Shan. Master. Someone came to visit, saying that he is from the Danfang family. Nan Gongshan looked back at his entourage and asked, someone from the Danfang family? What is he doing here? He said he came to pass on a message and has something to say to you. Nan Gongshan smiled disdainfully. Let him in. I want to hear what they have to say. The Danfang family is the guy who kidnapped my children together with Lu Chuan. I will definitely settle accounts with them. Even if they are outnumbered, I will not forgive them. Then, a figure ran in quickly. He was the person sent by Danfang Cheng to pass on the message. He came to Nan Gongshan. Before he got close, he felt a strong murderous aura from Nan Gongshan. This made him nervous and he swallowed. Nan Gongshan, my young master has something to tell you. Nan Gongshan sneered. You are very brave to call me by my name. The messenger swallowed nervously, took a deep breath, and continued. Our young master said that you must come to fight Lu Chuan to decide the winner. Otherwise, we will kill Nangang Lingaya and Nangang Ting. Hearing this, Nan Gongshan burst into laughter, as if he had heard a very funny joke. It's ridiculous. Too ridiculous. This guy actually wants to force me to fight him in a duel. I'd love to have it. He thinks too highly of himself. I thought he would hide in the Danfang mansion and rely on the protection of others to get through this period. I didn't expect that he would dare to threaten me. Since he wants to fight me in a one-on-one, then come on. He acts as if I'm afraid of him. I'm happy to fight him in a duel. He is definitely not my opponent. Nan Gongshan said with great confidence. He was even glad that Lu Chuan was just a guy with strength but no brains. Otherwise he wouldn't come here to seek death. Then I'll go back and pass on your idea. Also, if you want a duel, come to the square in the center of the city at noon tomorrow. No problem. Go back and tell them the news. When the messenger turned around and prepared to leave, Nan Gongshan's eyes turned and he suddenly thought of something. Letting you go back intact is such a great honor to them. Stop right there. The messenger froze in his tracks, turned his head, and looked at Nan Gongshan, and became nervous. What are you going to do? What? I'll teach you a lesson, so you know my attitude. Swish. The next moment, Nan Gongshan suddenly attacked, and instantly came to the messenger. Then he pulled out the dagger from his waist, and swung it twice. Swish. Two cold lights flashed, and then with a snap, the messenger's two arms were chopped off, and fell to the ground, and blood gushed out instantly. Ah! The messenger was stunned for a moment, and then he let out a heart-wrenching scream. Nan Gongshan put away the dagger, and turned to leave. Come here, stop his bleeding, and carry him to the gate of Danfang Mansion. That bastard dared to show me his power, so I will give him one back. Let them know that our Nangang family is not a vegetarian. Then, several servants stepped forward, carried the body of the messenger, and walked out of Nangang Mansion. In the evening, around Danfang Mansion, Nangongzhen had already started to act, and the body of the messenger was also sent to the center of the gate of Danfang Mansion. Chapter 872 Sneaking into the mansion. In the evening, in the kitchen of Danfang Mansion, dinner was already being prepared. Lu Chuan and Danfang Cheng sat in the yard, drinking some tea before dinner. Nangongshan has already entered the city. He will probably be shocked when he sees Zhu Zhi's body. Danfang Cheng said with a smile. Lu Chuan nodded slightly. This is a little bit of a show of strength for him. Let him know that I'm not a pushover. Do you think he will agree to your request? One-on-one. Lu Chuan thought for a moment, nodded and said, I think he will most likely agree. As the head of the Nangang family, he is in a high position and has great power. If he doesn't even dare to fight an outsider one-on-one, it would be too much of a loss of dignity. Are you very confident that you can fight him one-on-one? Lu Chuan continued to nod. I'm very confident, but since I have crossed two realms, I still need to make a lot of efforts to fight the enemy. It will probably be a tough battle, but if we can win, we will completely turn things around and rise. Although the Nangang family is not as good as the Lu family and your Dongfang family, its power and strength should not be underestimated. If we can swallow them all, it will definitely be a great thing for me. At this time, the servant came over with the food. After putting down the steaming food, the servant turned and left. Lu Chuan picked up the chopsticks and was about to eat when he heard a hurried shout. Master! Master! It's bad. The person we sent to report the news is back. Someone rushed in. Come back if you want. Why are you in such a hurry? Dong Fangcheng asked. Our man had both arms chopped off by Nangangshan, and he became disabled. Dong Fangcheng stood up immediately after hearing this. What? Both arms were chopped off? That's right. The man has been carried to the gate, attracting a lot of onlookers. We were afraid that it would have a big impact, so we carried him in and sent him to the room to recuperate. Dong Fangcheng clenched his fists. This Nangangshan is not a good guy. He was ruthless enough. Did he agree? The servant nodded quickly. He agreed. Nangangshan said it himself. He agreed to our request. Tomorrow at noon, we will have a one-on-one duel in the central square. He actually agreed. Dong Fangcheng looked at Lu Chuan. He really agreed. Get ready. The fight will start tomorrow. Lu Chuan ate dinner calmly. That's good. As long as there is this opportunity. As long as you are sure, I will be relieved. Let's have dinner first. Dong Fangcheng sat back down, picked up the chopsticks and started eating. Lu Chuan suddenly frowned, and his mouth, which was chewing the food, stopped. Be extra careful tonight. That guy will definitely not wait for a whole night in vain. He will definitely take action. Dong Fangcheng looked at Lu Chuan and asked curiously, what else can he do? A surprise attack in the middle of the night. The people are still here with us. Lu Chuan said seriously, it's Nangang Teng and Nangang Lingaya. That bastard will definitely find a way to find an opportunity in the middle of the night to kidnap these two people. If they can kidnap the two people, then for them, they are almost certain to win this battle. No matter in terms of numbers or strength, they are better than us. With such an opportunity, I think it will be difficult for them to let it go. Dong Fangcheng quickly understood and nodded, saying, I know, I will send more people to guard the small black room tonight. No, I'll pay attention to it tonight. At this last moment, I don't want to give up all my efforts. Lu Chuan hurriedly ate dinner and found a room with a perfect angle to stay. This room is a guest room. It is not large, but through the window, you can just see the situation of the two small black rooms. If something happens in the small black room, you can rush over through the window at the first time. As the night deepened, Lu Chuan had to stay by the window and monitor the situation here, even if he had to endure boredom. After entering the night, there was gradually no movement around, and it became so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. It was pitch black outside, and you couldn't see anything. In such a quiet environment, it is easy for people to calm down. But suddenly, a flapping sound was heard. That sound was like the sound of a bird spreading its wings and flying. Lu Chuan didn't think anything was wrong at first, but gradually he realized that something was wrong. That sound just now, could it be that someone has climbed over the wall? Although the sound was extremely weak, Lu Chuan still heard something different. At the same time, in the dark, Nangangzhen's figure really climbed in. The first thing he did when he came in was to kill the two people guarding the door. At the moment when the two were about to fall to the ground, he quickly stopped them and slowly put the bodies on the ground. Then, he stood up and groped for the wooden door in front of him with both hands. Soon, he saw the iron lock below. If the lock was opened violently, it would definitely attract attention, and then he would be exposed. He squatted in front of the iron lock, looked at the keyhole, and then took out a key. The key in his hand looked very special, as if it would gradually change, like a wriggling worm. Then, he inserted the key into the keyhole. After waiting for a moment, he began to turn the key. Sure enough, the iron lock was successfully opened. After carefully taking off the iron lock and putting it in his pocket, he slowly pushed open the door. Quietly entering, in the darkness, he saw a dim candlelight. Next to the candlelight, he saw the figure of Nangang Lingaya. She was lying on the bed, looking at the ceiling, not knowing what she was thinking. Miss, it's me. Nangangzhen said weakly. Nangang Lingaya frowned immediately, then turned her head and looked over. The next moment, Nangang Lingaya sat up and immediately widened her eyes. Nangang. Nangangzhen rushed forward and covered her mouth. Miss, don't make a sound. I sneaked in here quietly. If we alert others, it will be difficult for both of us to escape from here. Nangang Lingaya nodded vigorously, and Nangangzhen put down his hand. Miss, come with me now. By the way, where is Nangang Teng? He is in the small dark room next door. We are imprisoned separately. Let's go quickly. I don't want to stay here anymore. I want to get out. She was almost mentally collapsed during the day she was locked up, and she just wanted to leave here as soon as possible. Okay, I'll take you away now. He helped Nangang Lingai get out of bed, and the two were about to leave. Nangangzan turned around and walked towards the door. However, the next moment, he was horrified to see a shadow getting closer and closer to the door under the moonlight. Oh no, someone is coming. Then, Lu Chuan raised his foot on the threshold and walked into the small dark room. You are Lu Chuan? Nangangzan asked loudly. How dare you come to my territory? You are dead today. Nangangzan shouted angrily. I don't believe you can stop me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 873, Late Night Robbery. Nangangzan had been cautious enough and sneaked in quietly, but he was still discovered by Lu Chuan and caught red-handed. Nangangzan looked at Lu Chuan, his eyes filled with anger. He was so angry about being caught that he planned to fight with Lu Chuan. And Nangang Lingai looked at Lu Chuan as if she saw a monster. Nangangzan, run back quickly. You are no match for him. Miss, you can rest assured. I'm very strong. I have already broken through to the martial saint realm. Today, I will come to see his strength. Nangangzan gritted his teeth and said. He had finally met Nangang Lingai, and he certainly couldn't let him go back empty-handed. He stared at Lu Chuan with murderous intent in his eyes. Surprisingly, you are still quite young. It seems that you are a rare genius like our young master. Unfortunately, this is the end of your career. Without the protection of a big family, no matter how strong your personal strength is, it will be in vain. Lu Chuan walked towards Nangangzan. Get out of here. If you are not a coward, fight with me. Nangangzan was also full of momentum and shouted loudly, fight me, come on. The two walked out to the yard one after the other. The spacious yard became a fighting arena for the two. Lu Chuan raised his right hand and hooked it towards Nangangzan. Come on, let me see your strength. Stop talking nonsense, I'll kill you first. Dare to attack the young master and young lady of our family, you are looking for death. The next moment, Nangangzan pulled out the machete at his waist and rushed towards Lu Chuan. Swish! Exclamation mark. Nangangzan's figure flashed, and he came to Lu Chuan in an instant. He has the strength of a martial saint, and his speed is not inferior to Lu Chuan. Lu Chuan also reacted quickly, drew out the soul-breaking sword and blocked it. Clang! Sparks flew, and swords clashed. Lu Chuan swung out several swords in a row, but they were all blocked by Nangangzan one by one. Lu Chuan should not underestimate Nangangzan's strength, so he fought very cautiously. The two kept fighting, and the fight was very fierce. The swords kept colliding with each other, and the harsh sound of metal clashing startled many people. Lu Chuan swung several swords fiercely in a row, and Nangangzan retreated step by step. He quickly retreated a few steps and re-examined Lu Chuan. Swordsmanship is okay. You basically rely on your own strength to fight me. You still need to practice more. Young man, how can you fight with my boss like this? Lu Chuan heard disdain in his tone. He was able to deal with it easily, so his boss Nangang Xianlei, wouldn't it be easy to take him down? Thinking of this, he no longer felt pressured. Lu Chuan intended to make him face the reality, but he could not do it with his own strength. Lu Chuan raised his left hand. He was going to use the divine fire. The sun divine fire appeared in the palm of his hand and combined with the soul-breaking sword to become a fiery sword key, which would have an amazing effect. Lu Chuan attached the flame to the sword body. Then, Lu Chuan swung a sword. The sword energy with blazing flames attacked Nangangzan. Nangangzan was frightened when he saw this posture. He really didn't see this kind of fiery sword key very often. And this kind of flame with such a strong momentum and such a high temperature was the first time he saw it. He gritted his teeth, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and began to prepare to dodge. He dodged in a hurry, but the corner of his clothes was still touched. The raging fire spread rapidly like a plague, sweeping towards his whole body. Gongzhen saw that the situation was not good and quickly swung out his long knife and cut off the corner of his clothes. He looked back at Lu Chuan, panting, and at this moment he had realized that something was wrong. Lu Chuan's fiery sword energy attacked him, and he had almost no means to deal with it. At this time, after feeling the horror of the sun god fire, he was already frightened, and his fighting spirit waned. He even had the idea of escaping. Even if he tried his best, he thought that he had no capital to win. Lu Chuan's strength was indeed much stronger. He began to retreat. Lu Chuan, who saw this with sharp eyes, also realized that he had the idea of escaping. Swish. The next moment, Lu Chuan rushed up again, swung the soul-breaking sword, and chopped it down at Gongzhen. Gongzhen did not dare to hesitate at all, and quickly fled from here. However, Lu Chuan was one step faster, rushed up first, swung his sword, and chopped off Gongzhen's left arm, which fell to the ground. Gongzhen let out a miserable scream. He injured the pain, quickly crossed the wall, and left Dongfang Mansion. Lu Chuan picked up Gongzhen's arm from the ground. At this time, Dongfang Cheng, who had just put on his clothes, ran over in a hurry. "Mr. Lu, what happened here? Why did I hear a scream?" He ran over quickly and looked at Lu Chuan curiously. "Just now someone attacked and was repelled by me. When he was running away, I cut off one of his arms, so he screamed." "Really? What about Nangang Teng and Nangang Lingaya? They should still be there, right?" Dongfang Cheng asked, looking at the two small dark rooms. "They are both still there and didn't run away. I successfully stopped that guy. He must have been sent by Nangang Shan. That guy is quite powerful. If he wasn't afraid of me, he could still fight with me for a few moves. Unfortunately, he ran away in a hurry because he was afraid of my fiery sword energy. As long as the person is still there, it's good." Dongfang Cheng breathed a sigh of relief and said thankfully. Lu Chuan looked back at the small dark room and said, "That Nangang Shan, he really won't give up easily. He really sent someone to rob people tonight. That guy definitely has the strength of a martial saint. I guess he is Nangangzhen." Dongfang Cheng nodded slightly. "That's great. Let's weaken the enemy's strength first, so it will be easier to fight." Lu Chuan smiled and nodded. "That's right. If two martial saints attack me together, I'm afraid I won't be their opponent. Now that I've weakened one of them in advance, it will be easier." Lu Chuan picked up Nangangzhen's arm and walked towards Nangang Lingaya's room. After entering, Lu Chuan saw Nangang Lingaya hiding in the corner, shivering, looking at Lu Chuan nervously and fearfully. "Where's Nangangzhen? I want to see him," she asked nervously. "You're still making demands here. I've already beaten him. You won't be able to see him. Just wait. After he goes back and finds my father, he will break in head on, and you will definitely die." Lu Chuan smiled disapprovingly. "Even if I die, I will drag you to be buried with me first. Don't worry, you will definitely die." Nangang Lingaya clenched her fists in anger. Although she wanted to refute, she didn't know what to say. Lu Chuan casually threw Nangangzhen's arm to the ground. "Aren't you looking for Nangangzhen? This is him, although not the complete him." Chapter 874. The eve of the battle. Nangang Lingaya, who was in the small dark room, was stunned when she saw the arm on the ground. She looked up at Lu Chuan and asked, "What did you do to him?" "I cut off one of his arms and he managed to escape. It's a pity that I couldn't kill him directly, but it's not completely useless. At least his strength has been weakened. I won't worry about his influence on me anymore." Lu Chuan said disapprovingly and kicked the arm on the ground, kicking the stump in front of Nangang Lingaya. Nangang Lingaya took another look and immediately turned her head to the side, not daring to continue watching. "Soon, you will also meet your father, but in the same way. When they came, they didn't bring anyone with them. I already knew that they were not going to talk to me, but to take action directly and kill me. Since they are all going to kill me, I naturally won't have any mercy. You just wait slowly. Tomorrow I will definitely bring your father's body here, so that you can see it with your own eyes." "You are dreaming. My father is a third-grade martial saint. You can't be his opponent. The body I should see tomorrow is yours." Nangang Lingaya shouted loudly, as if Lu Chuan's words made her angry. Lu Chuan smiled disapprovingly, turned around and left. "Then you just wait slowly. You will never wait for that day." After Lu Chuan left the small dark room, Dan Fangcheng hurried over. Is everything okay? Lu Chuan nodded slightly. Fortunately, Nangang Lingai is still locked up in there, and that guy named Nangang was also injured by me and escaped. Everything is fine now. This Nangang Shan really has this idea. He sent people here late at night to take people away. It's a pity that he ran into me. There is no chance tonight. Dan Fangcheng took a deep breath. Fortunately you are cautious enough, otherwise, they might really succeed. Lu Chuan walked towards the room and said, since we have repelled that guy, I guess they won't act again tonight. I'll go back to sleep and prepare for tomorrow's battle. Mr. Lu, what if that group of people don't give up? How about this? I'll send more people to guard here, and I'll notify you immediately if there is any movement. Lu Chuan nodded slightly. No problem. Then you do it. I'll go back to sleep first. After Lu Chuan returned to the room, he went to bed. Dan Fangcheng quickly assembled a group of guards from the Dan Fang mansion, all of whom stood in front of the small dark room for all-round surveillance. At the same time, in the middle of the night, Nangang fled in a hurry, circling back and forth in the alley, looking back from time to time. After running a few hundred meters, and not seeing Lu Chuan, he gradually stopped. He escaped from the Dan Fang mansion, and he was afraid of being caught up by Lu Chuan. He leaned against the wall and gasped heavily. His arm had just been cut off by Lu Chuan's sword. The horror of that moment still lingered in his heart. He took a few deep breaths, calmed down, and drank a sip of healing medicine. After the bleeding from the wound stopped, he walked out of the alley and quickly headed for the Nangang mansion along the deserted street. The gate of the Nangang mansion was brightly lit, and the guards stood in front of the door. Seeing Nangang staggering, they hurried forward to support him. Master Nangang, what's wrong with you? What happened? The guard looked at Nangang arm in surprise. Help me in. I want to see the master of the family. He was helped in, and came to the study. In the study, Nangang Shan stood alone, looking at the bright moon outside the window, thinking about something. After seeing Nangang's figure, he hurried over and asked, how is it going? Is it going smoothly? However, as soon as he finished speaking, he saw that Nangang had lost one of his arms. He immediately frowned and clenched his teeth, and he already knew what was going on. Is that bastard really so strong? He could actually break one of your arms? Isn't he also a first-grade martial saint? Nangang said weakly, that guy is indeed a first-grade martial saint. In the beginning of the competition, I was able to test his strength. His performance in all aspects was that of a first-grade martial saint. Until he released a flaming sword energy, I was beaten and fled. I was totally no match for him. That flame was incredibly hot, as if it could burn me into charcoal in an instant. That flame was definitely not an ordinary thing. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been defeated by him. After hearing this, Nangang Shan frowned, and began to think seriously. I've heard that there is a divine fire in the world, which is the fire of the origin of the world. The fire is extremely rare and ordinary people will hardly see it in their entire lives. If he possesses such a rare divine fire, then he will definitely be a formidable opponent. It seems that this is indeed a tough battle, and he does have some confidence. But you just said that he is only at the first level of the martial saint realm. I still have absolute hard power over him. As long as I can avoid being touched by his fire, I will have an absolute crushing advantage. Nangang Shan took a deep breath. It seems that my battle with him tomorrow will have our own advantages and disadvantages, but I have the advantage of rich experience and a solid foundation of strength. He is definitely not my opponent, and these secret treasures hidden in his body will be completely taken away by me. Ha 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 ha. You didn't return empty-handed. At least you brought me valuable information. I will meet him tomorrow and let him know what it means that there are always people better than him. Nangang said with some guilt. Brother, otherwise, let's ask the master to come out. After he comes out, he will practice with you, and he will definitely beat that bastard without any resistance. Nangang Shan sneered. Are you looking down on me? If I ask my father to come out for this matter, then I will become a waste in his eyes. If I can't even beat a little rat, how can I have the face to be the head of the Nangang family? Tomorrow is the time for me to prove it again for the Nangang family. By then, everyone in the city will see that the real king has never left B City. This is still the world of our Nangang family, Nangangshan said with great momentum, full of self-confidence, as if he had already won. Seeing this, Nangangsan also breathed a sigh of relief. You must avenge me. That bastard is too arrogant. Go to sleep and rest. Tomorrow, wait for my news. I will beat that bastard into a useless person. In front of everyone in the city, severely humiliate this guy. Chapter 875. Before the final battle. The next morning, the whole B city became lively. Yesterday, the head of the Nangang family led a team into B city, but it caused an uproar in the city. Almost everyone knew about it. Today, they are all very curious about what kind of game and battle will be between Luchuan and Nangangshan. Or will they just start fighting directly? In B city, people are moving, and various gorgeous carriages are starting to travel on the streets. Their only goal is Nangang Mansion. Carriages stopped at the gate of Nangang Mansion, and the heads of the major families in B city came to Nangang Mansion. They came here to do only one thing, that is, to show their determination to Nangangshan. Nangangshan stood in the yard and received the heads of the major families who kept coming. Brother Shan, it's been a long time since I last saw you. Today in B city, I finally see you again. A man in a red robe walked quickly and greeted Nangangshan with a smile. Nangangshan smiled faintly. Someone is trying to fight against our Nangang family. This is undoubtedly a mantis trying to stop a chariot. I'll come and deal with that guy, and then sort out the chaos here, and basically go back. We all believe that you have the ability. When everything is over, we will all come to support you at the celebration banquet, he said with a smile. Then, the heads of other families behind him also walked over quickly. Brother Shan, it's been a long time since I last saw you. Is everything okay in Cheyenne City? Nangangshan just smiled. Fortunately, the situation here is too bad. There's really no way. Here comes a lawless kid who is a little strong. We can't deal with it. Otherwise, we will definitely help the Nangang family. After all, the Nangang family has helped us, right? Most of the families who came here have cooperative business with the Nangang family. That's why they regard the situation of the Nangang family as very important. Whether the Nangang family can revive is extremely important to them. But that's all. It's just for the sake of profit, without any feelings. We, the Nangang family, have cooperated with you in a lot of business, and everyone knows this. We are all partners in cooperation. Now that we have encountered difficulties and hardships, we should stand together and must deal with the enemy. Nangangshan continued to look at the crowd and said, the villain who targeted on Nangang family is named Luchuan. He is very powerful. I have agreed with him that at noon today, we will fight to the death in the square in the center of the city. It will be just the two of us fighting one-on-one. Everyone, you can go to support me at that time, and by the way, see my strength. Hearing this, everyone in the audience became extremely expectant. The development of the Nangang family to this day is largely based on the strength of Nangangshan. They all want to see Nangangshan's strength again. After all, the battle between the strong men and the martial saint realm is rare. Now there's something to watch. This is a fight between martial saints. This level of battle is so rare. It's a great honor to watch it once. It's definitely a great benefit. Even if you don't learn anything, it's an eye-opener. Haha, everyone is looking forward to Nangangshan's strength display. That kid is definitely not your opponent. Today, we will all see the end of this farce. It's not a problem for the Nangang family to return to the top. Everyone was talking about it, and they were all very excited. They couldn't wait to see this battle now. Nangangshan raised his hands and waved them twice. Everyone listen to me. Go to the central square and wait now. I will go there to prepare for the battle soon. You will witness me kill that guy named Luchuan with your own eyes. I will defend the dignity and strength of the Nangang family again. He shouted loudly, making everyone excited. As for Nangangshan, he called this group of people over just to let them see his strong strength and give them a warning, so that they can obey the orders of the Nangang family in the future because of their or of his strength. Then, Nangangshan led the team to leave Nangang Mansion and headed for the central square. On the other side, Luchuan also got up and prepared. Luchuan was exercising in the yard in the sun. Dan Fangchen came over and asked, How are the preparations? The news just now said that Nangangshan has brought a large group of people to the square, and the venue is ready. Now the battle between you and Nangangshan has become the focus of attention of everyone in the city. The victory or defeat of this battle is basically the key to determining the ruler of B City. Lu Chuan let out a long breath and said, "Get ready to go." "I'm ready." "Okay, then we'll leave now." That guy brought the leaders of the major families in the city over. The purpose is very clear. He wants to prove the strength of the Nangang family again in front of these dignitaries, so that they will follow the Nangang family more wholeheartedly. If you win, these people will definitely turn against you immediately and obey you, so the result of this battle will also affect the situation in the city. While listening to Don Fangcheng's analysis, Lu Chuan walked to the gate. Lu Chuan got on the carriage, and the driver began to drive the carriage to the square. There are quite a few people gathered outside. The entrance of Danfang Mansion changed from the past desertedness to a lively one. Of course, you are going to fight with Nangangshan. Isn't it normal for these people to come and join in the fun? The carriage gradually came to the edge of the square. From a distance, Lu Chuan saw the figure of Nangangshan. He was wearing a black waisted robe and a pair of silver silk trousers. When he stood there, he put his hands behind his back and held a sharp sword. Although he looked like an ordinary person, he had a special aura that ordinary people could not have. He stood there, and almost no one dared to approach him. The faint murderous aura emanating from him made those with weak strength dare not approach him. The carriage entered the crowd. In the middle of a large open space surrounded by the crowd was a spacious venue, which was where the two were about to fight. Lu Chuan jumped off the carriage and walked towards Nangangshan leisurely. When Nangangshan saw Lu Chuan's figure, the corner of his mouth tilted to one side and laughed disdainfully. "You are so young, yet you have such courage. You are indeed not an ordinary person. You are a real man. If you dare to challenge me, Nangangshan, I will kill you quickly and efficiently." Lu Chuan walked out of the crowd, stepped onto the open space, faced Nangangshan, shook his head slightly, and said, "Don't think too highly of yourself. You are the one who should die today." Nangangshan sneered, "This is your last chance to shout. Shout a few more words, or you won't have this chance later." End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.